Welcome to the fantasy audiobook. Others are living in the apocalypse, but I am invincible. Chapter 41. Then we have to take action first. There should be a lot of beauties in the communities that haven't been conquered yet. Tang Zi chuckled. I'm a big pervert now. Ordinary women don't bother to pay attention to them. They don't even want them if they come to my door. That kind of thing. I no longer want to suffer the pain of gaining experience. After all, doing it just for the sake of gaining experience is really boring, like an animal. There must be more than in our community. Sun Ting was also a little worried now. If new people joined, would it affect her? She looked at Xiaobai, who was playing with firearms, and she didn't have any scheming at all. Yi Qingyi, who was driving, even there is also the illusion of separation. The three of them say they are united, but they also say they are not united. And if there are a few beauties in this Shanhu community, I am afraid they will be a different group if they join. When the time comes that the three of them are not united, Sun Ting will be betrayed just thinking about it. Chill, Xiaobai is obedient. He will have a good chat with Yi Qingyi later. No matter what, we must unite now. If there are new women who join, we must step on them. Yi Qingyi, who was driving, was not stupid. The two women thought of going together. No matter what kind of women joined in the future, they would have to undergo a series of training before they could take up the job. As for this so-called training, Yi Qingyi has already experienced it once, and it can be described in 4 words. Life is worse than death. Tangs probably doesn't know it yet, but class layers are beginning to appear in his cat's nest. But Tangs doesn't care about this. Only with competition can progress be achieved. What's the difference between a group of mindless women and robots? Again, I, Tangs, will have higher and higher requirements, and I don't want to raise idlers. Change a car, Tang Zi suddenly said. Yi Qingyi, who was driving, hummed. In fact, he had just wanted to suggest changing to another car. After all, it was a bit inappropriate to drive such a modified car into another community. Change the lace pendants you are wearing underneath, otherwise others will think I am a pervert. The three women snorted at the same time. Tisk, what are you laughing at? I'll kill you, believe it or not. Tang Zi rolled his eyes. If I were a pervert, you would be even more perverted than me. Shangyan's clothes appeared in the car, and Tang Zi teased her from time to time. This little day was very comfortable. Putting the car in a small alley not far from the community, the 4 of them found a BYD with only wheels and got on it. Xiaobai, after entering, you will be my girlfriend. Really, that's great, Anbai said happily. Sun Ting curled her lips and said, Master, can you let me be your girlfriend next time? Okay, everyone will take their turn. Tang Zi spread his hands, and now he is scrambling to be his girlfriend. Why didn't he see such enthusiasm when he was delivering food before? Suddenly, Tang Zi put his hand on Yi Qingyi's head and rubbed it gently. Xiao Yi, how about we make a bet? Bet? Yi Qingyi asked doubtfully. I know you have a niece trapped in school. You win, let's go. Yi Qingyi's eyes suddenly lit up and he nodded quickly. Don't nod so hastily, you know the consequences of being saved by me. Listening to Tang Zi's words, Yi Qingyi bit her red lips slightly. The original tender red lips gradually lost their color. After a while, she replied, I know. Don't be happy so early. If I win, I will kill your fiancé and his whole family. Do you dare to bet? Anbai and Sun Ting sitting in the back row were stunned. This was asking Yi Qingyi to make a decision. It seemed that Tang Zi had never let down his guard against Yi Qingyi. I won't lose, Yi Qingyi said in a deep voice, holding the steering wheel tightly. Okay, I admire your energy. Tang Zi patted Yi Qingyi's shoulder. Women with courage are much better than those who only ask for help. What to bet on? Tang Zi hadn't thought much about it yet, so he looked back at Anbai and Sun Ting. What do you think we should bet on? Sun Ting and Anbai were shocked. They actually left it to them to choose the bet. Aren't they afraid that they would favor Yi Qingyi? Yi Qingyi turned around and looked at the two of them with pleading. Sun Ting secretly thought that if she chose a bet that was beneficial to Tang Zi, Yi Qingyi would probably break up, and now there is an unknown beauties in Shanhu community who would definitely be retaliated against. It's better to give him a free lover, even if he has to bear the punishment of Tang Zi. How about we use Mr. Shi to make the bet? Xiaobai said suddenly. Sun Ting and Yi Qingyi paused for a moment, using women as bets, isn't that Tang Zi's strength. No woman can escape his clutches. My little Bai is still well behaved and sensible. Tang Zi stretched out his hand and pinched Anbai's cheek, and Anbai nuzzled Tang Zi's palm playfully, like a big ragdoll cat. Anbai continued, you just bet on whether Mr. Shi will run away in the end. Master, you can't threaten others. Haha, interesting. Tang Zi was immediately interested, and then looked at Yi Qingyi, ladies first. Yi Qingyi clenched his small fists, his heartbeat quickened, his breathing became rapid, and his mind became confused. I won't run, Yi Qingyi said in a deep voice. Mr. Shi is not a stupid woman. She should also realize the benefits of following Tang Zi. However, Yi Qingyi seemed to have forgotten one thing, what Anbai said cannot be a threat. Then I guess she will run away, you two will testify. Sun Ting and Anbai nodded. Of course, you two can provide her with a little help this time to prevent me from bullying others. Yi Qingyi was secretly happy. Although he and Shi Meng only met once, they were still considered acquaintances. Hey, you can't threaten people with guns. Tang Zed reminded, don't break the rules of the game, otherwise you will eat peanuts. Naturally, the three girls would not play tricks, knowing that Tang Zi would not like it. Anbai suddenly smiled sweetly. Master, I'm really curious about how you won this real estate queen. You can't threaten the food to seduce the transaction. You're a novice, you've blocked all the roads I'm good at. Anbai stuck out her tongue and said, Master, you are not bad to begin with. You are tall and mighty, with a jade tree facing the wind. Wherever you stand, Mr. Shi will fall to his knees. Ha ha ha, you are such a mouthful, let's go and see who this Mr. Shi is. Tang Zi waved his hand. However, he suddenly added another sentence. Before that, let our boss make it a little more difficult. After speaking, Tangs took his younger brother's cell phone and sent a message. Mr. Huo is in trouble, Crazy Brother and the others were beaten to death. The three women looked at the message sent by Tang Zi and thought to themselves that this was accelerating the attack on Shanhu community, and they did not have much time left for them. Sun Ting and Yi Qingyi suddenly looked at each other and suddenly realized something was wrong. Their mission was to prevent Mr. Shi from running away, and the prerequisite was that they must follow Tang Zi, so they had to offer Mr. Shi both hands. Tang Zi didn't even have to do anything, and the three of them helped him catch him. Xiaobai, what question did you ask? And is Xiaobai really stupid and sweet? Obviously not. It seems that they have given Tang Zi a difficult method. In fact, as long as they complete the goal by themselves, they can achieve it naturally. They will not let Tang Zi lose face at all, and they will even return it when the time comes. We'll give you a compliment. Xiaobai had his own way of making Tang Zi happy. At the entrance of the garage of Shanhu community, several cars blocked the entrance and exit, and 7 or 8 men were sitting around, holding knives in their hands. But these men were dressed very well, and they looked like social elites. Their eyes didn't even look ferocious. The knives seemed to just scare people, and the blocked vehicles were just to prevent someone from driving in from outside. After all, the rain has subsided in the past 2 days, and many people have begun to venture out for activities. As one of the rich communities, no one dares to relax. Hey, when will it be over? A man in his 40s wearing a woolen sweater sighed. Mr. Shi said it's almost time. If you stick to it for another month, you will be back to your old life. Another person showed a longing look. The man in the lead had his head shaved, mainly because there was no water to wash it. Shaving his head was the easiest and could be a deterrent. His name is Luo Jun, the director of the security department of Shanhu community. He has 2 brushes and is very loyal to Mr. Shi. Mr. Shi gave us 10 times our salary. After the disaster, we will still own the shares of Shanhu Group, which is worth tens of millions. As soon as they heard this number, everyone's eyes lit up. In their hearts, the disaster was only temporary and the weather would eventually clear up. Not only Simon, some other bosses may have paid high wages to provide safety guarantees. The elites in the community naturally joined in, and they were extremely convinced that the light would shine on the earth again. Just when a few people were thinking about their future life, the horn blared wildly and a rapid voice came from the intercom. A car broke into the garage. Upon hearing this, everyone immediately picked up the knife and stood up, staring at the entrance. 10 seconds later, a BYD crashed directly in. The wheel hub without tires could not brake at all. With a bang, the two cars blocking the front were directly hit, and the airbags in the cars exploded. A group of people carefully looked at the car rushing in. No one dared to rush forward. Only Luo Jun slowly approached and observed. When he saw a man and 3 women in the car, he was slightly relieved. They should not be Mr. Huo's people. Most likely they ran out from outside, but these 3 women are so beautiful, and there is a man sitting next to them. This combination is really strange. Brother Luo, support is coming soon, hold on. A rapid voice came from the intercom. Luo Jun pressed the intercom. I'm on the run, don't be nervous. Maid, I was shocked. I thought it was those people. Tang Zi in the car kicked the door open and said with a smile, I'm sorry, this thing really can't stop, let's smoke. Seeing Tang Zi actually smoking, the anger on the faces of several men suddenly calmed down a lot, and they even felt a little embarrassed. For them, the smoke was gone long ago, and the wazi that Tang Zi took out was simply fetish. The most direct way for men to interact with men is cigarettes. As the 3 women in the car got out, the men dropped the cigarettes from their mouths and stared blankly. I originally thought Mr. Shi was pretty enough, but I didn't expect that 3 of them came at once. Luo Jun calmed down quickly. Although there was no smoke, he kept the lighter in his hand and lit it directly, making Tang Zi angry. Brother, what's going on with you? Tang Zi's acting skills came to light immediately. If it weren't for them, how could I have risked my life and run out? Looking at the beauty of the 3 women, the man also knew in his heart that if he didn't bring them out, he would be in trouble. Tang Zi pulled Anbai to his side. This is my girlfriend Xiaobai. This is my girlfriend's best friend Sun Ting, and this is my girlfriend's neighbor Yi Qingyi. Hello, brother, Anbai shouted tremblingly, like a frightened big cat, giving the man the feeling that he was harmless to humans and animals. Who would have thought that she had just beaten someone's head to pieces? Yi Qingyi still looked indifferent and just nodded to say hello. The men didn't say anything, they just felt secretly happy, so they were pretending. Sun Ting instantly transformed into a female anchor. Hello, brother, sorry to bother you. Luo Jun took a deep breath of the cigarette, feeling the comfort of the smoke in his lungs, and then exhaled. Brother, you are so fierce, running out like this with 3 women is enough for a man. A man next to him asked curiously, why did you run to our community? Who in Huan City doesn't know Shanhu community? I think your place must be safer. The men smiled, isn't that what it feels like to buy a house here? But these 3 women are indeed good looking, with such figures, such small faces, and such perky buttocks. The woman in the lead immediately caught Tang Zi's attention, and he knew it was Mr. Shi without having to guess. Because Yi Qingyi said that Mr. Shi has big breasts, they are indeed big. Her long hair is tied behind her head. She has a beautiful face, a straight nose, and flaming red lips. Even at this time, she is wearing accessories, which seems to show her authority. A red dress cannot wrap up the mountain peak, as if it is about to break out, generally. Simon, I have to say that Yi Qingyi did not lie to himself. This Mr. Shi was fair-skinned and beautiful. It was hard to tell that he was in his 30s. He was not bad, but he was so big that he couldn't control it. There are 2 good-looking women behind her. There are indeed many beauties in wealthy communities. Shi Meng is very wary of outsiders, just to avoid bad people sneaking in. As long as they are investigated clearly, they will still be allowed to stay. Although many people opposed it, it could not shake Zimeng's status, because Ximeng had his own material warehouse and had a lot of food, but water was in short supply. But Ximeng would pay wages, so no one would make a fuss. Zimeng's eyes naturally focused on the 3 women, and seemed a little surprised. Their faces were still so rosy, and they were better than himself. They didn't seem to be malnourished at all. Why does that girl look familiar? I can't remember who she is. Mr. Shi, they just broke in. Luo Jun said with a smile. Shi Meng stood there with an aura of calmness and authority. Tang Zi felt that it was much stronger than Yi Qingyi. Yi Qingyi was only a vice president, while Shi Meng was the chairman of the group and the youngest one. Yi Qingyi suddenly exclaimed, are you Mr. Shi? Who are you? Shi Meng asked curiously when he saw that Yi Qingyi also showed recognition. We met in Yunhai City at the reception. I am Zhang Ziyi's fiancé. Oh, why do I think you look so familiar to me? Shi Meng showed a kind smile and said that she seemed to have seen her somewhere before, and it turned out to be Mr. Yang's granddaughter-in-law. Yi Qingyi said, feeling ashamed. I'm so sorry, Mr. Shi, we really have no choice. I was originally at my sister and brother-in-law's house, but there was a riot in the community. If it weren't for Tang Zi, we wouldn't be able to escape. Shi Meng looked at Tang Zi, who scratched the back of his head naively. He was like a socially well-behaved young man. They are all friends of my girlfriend, so let's just go along. What do you do? Shi Meng asked, looking at Tang Zi. I deliver food. Is there any evidence? Tang Zi secretly thought that this woman was so cautious, but he was originally a delivery person, so he took out his cell phone and showed Ximeng the information of the delivery person. Simon felt slightly relieved, looked at Anbai and asked, what about you? What do you do? I'm from an airline, a flight attendant. Anbai hugged Tang Zi's arm tightly and said carefully. Seeing Anbai's appearance, Shi Meng didn't ask any further questions. What about you? I'm an anchor, the kind who dances and chats. As Sun Ting finished speaking, a man next to her whispered, no wonder you look familiar to me. I saw your live broadcast in the same city and gave you a rocket. Sun Ting shouted directly, thank you boss for the big rocket. Ha ha ha. The men all laughed, and the atmosphere became more relaxed. And Tang Zi secretly laughed, you women, you are not at all vague when it comes to deceiving people. They had no idea that 4 tigers had entered the sheepfold. Behind the crowd, Bai Jian and Cao Yu were standing there. Bai Jian's eyes were always on the 3 women, as if he wanted to swallow them whole. In this community, Bai Jian can only be under Shi Meng, but if he goes out, Bai Jian feels that he can become the overlord of other communities. The beauties can do whatever they want, all the men will become his wage earners, and all the women will become his crotch, the lower things. Perhaps for Yi Qingyi's sake, Shi Meng personally took the 4 of them to find an empty house. Walking in the underground garage of a rich man, Tang Zi saw many luxury cars, enough to hold a car show. Soon, Tang Zi came to a large house of 148 square meters. The exquisite decoration inside made Tang Zi feel arrogant. The owner here is abroad and it has been vacant. You can move in first, but don't damage the furniture. Shi Meng reminded Tang Zi, thinking that girls would be more careful, but not Tang Zi. Tang Zi nodded as if I was very honest. Ximeng felt that it was a miracle that Tang Zi could escape with 3 such beautiful girls. They were thin and weak and had no fighting ability. When the time came, let him do some logistics work. Tang Zi, since we are here, everyone will have their own work. Okay, I understand. Shi Meng was quite satisfied with Tang Zi's attitude, and Tang Zi could feel that the way Mr. Shi looked at him was no different from that of the employees. After all, he was too familiar with this kind of look. Here are your supplies for a week, so save some. A man reluctantly brought in a box of water and a box of breakfast biscuits. Tang Zi was stunned. Not only Tang Zi, but also Yi Qingyi and the other 3 girls were stunned. The reactions of the 4 people seemed so normal in Shi Meng's eyes, and there was not much suspicion. As long as you obey my orders, supplies are the most basic guarantee. After the disaster, you all can come to work in my company and I will definitely reuse it. Thank you, boss, I will definitely obey you. Tang Zi immediately expressed his stance, followed by Anbai and Sun Ting, but of course Yi Qingyi did not. There is a program every night, which is held in the underground garage at 7 o'clock. There is also a lottery with many prizes, including drinks, snacks, and even meat. Tang Zi was shocked that there was actually an entertainment program at this time, but it had to be said that Mr. Shi was still very good at drawing cakes. Mr. Shi, thank you. Yi Qingyi stepped forward to express his gratitude. Shi Meng turned around and said with a smile, with a little effort, we will definitely cooperate in the future. Yes. After sending Shi Meng away, Yi Qingyi understood very well that she was planning for the future when she allowed him to live there. The queen of investments was not just for nothing, she invested in everything she did. As soon as the others left, Tang Zi lay down directly on the sofa. Xiao Yi, this table is indeed bigger than yours. Yi Qingyi was also convinced in her heart, talking as if she were Xiaolongbao. The environment here is great. Anbai stood on the balcony and looked at the lake. There was a golf course not far away. Sun Ting was also standing next to her. She had never had the opportunity to live in such a good house before. She really envied the rich. But now I'm not so envious. Shall Bai check if there is anything monitored here? Tang Zi threw an instrument to Enbai. Enbai hummed, took the instrument and began to scan the entire room, but no surveillance was found. You guys, keep it. Tang Zi threw the pistol to the three women, so that they would be able to protect themselves, and Mr. Huo would attack at any time. Holding the gun, the three women obviously feel like they are holding their own lives, and they are also controlling the lives of others. Xiao Yi, it's time to report that your fiancé is safe, so that Mr. Shi won't take the credit first. Tang Zi patted his leg and said with a smile, you know the old rules. Yi Qingyi didn't resist. Why did he feel this way? The video call was quickly connected. Yi, you finally called me. Zhang Ziwei deliberately didn't contact him for 2 days, just waiting for Yi Qingyi to call automatically. He almost couldn't bear it, but luckily his fiancé called, and he was very happy. Yi Qingyi showed a satisfied smile. Ziwei, I'm sorry, there has been chaos in our building these 2 days, so I didn't contact you for fear of worrying you. I hope it's safe now. What? Chaos? Where are you now? Zhang Ziwei stood up suddenly and looked closely at his fiancé. Don't worry, I ran out with a few friends. You should know Mr. Shi from Shanhu Group. She just took us in. Thank God, it really scared me to death. Zhang Ziwei patted his chest, his face turned pale with fright. But when such an expression fell in Yi Qingyi's eyes, she was not moved. Instead, she felt that her fiancé was weak and timid, especially the action of slapping his chest. How could he be so girly? As expected of a woman who has killed people, her thoughts have changed drastically. By the way, where is your sister and brother-in-law? Yi Qingyi bowed his head slightly and said nothing after hearing this. Zhang Ziwei understood immediately and expressed regret. At this time, Enbai suddenly came to the side, waved his hand and sweetly shouted, "Hello, brother Zhang." Seeing Enbai and Zhang Ziwei, he was stunned for a moment. What a sweet girl. Hello, thank you for taking care of my Yi. Brother Zhang, I can only escape thanks to my boyfriend. Thank you for sure. Is your boyfriend here? Yi Qingyi almost rolled his eyes in his heart. Xiao Bai, you must have done this on purpose. Ziwei, please wait. This has confused Tang Zi. Aren't you afraid of being discovered by your fiancé? It's so intense. Mr. Zhang, hello, hello. Tang Zi shouted with a smile, your fiancé is a bit slutty today. Looking at the ordinary man in front of him, Zhang Ziwei was immediately relieved. His fiancé would not like this at all, but it was really strange that that cute girl was actually his girlfriend. Brother, thank you for taking care of my fiancé. When the disaster is over, 5 million will be transferred directly to my brother's account. Tang Zi said, your fiancé is on my body now, with a face of satisfaction and intoxication. It seems that I have taken good care of her. Don't worry, Mr. Zhang. They are all in the same building. As long as I don't die, Mr. Yang's fiancé will be fine. Okay, let's have 2 more drinks after we meet. The camera shifted to Yi Qingyi's face again, but it was a little rosy. Seeing such a charming fiancé, Zhang Ziwei felt itchy, but there were some love words that he couldn't say now. Yi, I will ask my dad to talk to Mr. Shi and ask her to take care of you. Ziwei, I love you. Zhang Ziwei didn't expect his fiancé to be so straightforward, and he was a little embarrassed, but he responded and hung up the phone. As soon as the phone was hung up, Yi Qingyi's moans could no longer be suppressed and flowed out unbridled from the depths of his throat. Oh, I can't bear it. The whole neighborhood has to hear it. Enbai covered her ears and shouted. After the pleasure, Yi Qingyi lay on Tang Zi's chest and panted, as if he was already going further and further down the road of depravity. Did you hear just now that our fiancé is only worth 5 million? Sun Ting said with a sly smile, and patted Yi Qingyi's buttocks. Not to be outdone, Yi Qingyi slapped her back. You Ting Ting, I won't hit you. Master, how much are we worth to you? Enbai suddenly asked curiously, and Yi Qingyi and Sun Ting also looked over. And Tang said slowly, it's worthless. The 3 women were stunned for a moment, and then burst into sweet laughter. Yi Qingyi felt uncomfortable when he heard that he was worth 5 million, but when he heard Tang Zi's words that he was worthless, Yi Qingyi found it quite funny. Okay, I have to visit my so-called ex-girlfriend. Master, won't you take me to show off? Enbai said pitifully, begging master to take me. However, Tang Zi shrugged. Am I the kind of person who likes to show off? After speaking, Tang Zi opened the door and walked out. And Bai was disappointed for a while, because she really wanted to kill someone. Sure enough, and Bai's mentality began to change. Now the only one who was normal was Sun Ting, and Yi Qingyi began to gradually deteriorate. After going out, Tang saw the camera in the corner. I am a telekinesis master, wouldn't it be a simple matter to destroy all the cameras? Not long after walking into the elevator, all the pictures in the control room turned into snowflakes, and the security guard on duty was still sound asleep. Arriving outside room 501, Unit 1, Tang's rang the doorbell. Bai Jian in the room immediately winked at Cao Yu, while he hid in the closet. Cao Yu wore translucent pajamas, put on beautiful makeup, and sorted out her thoughts before walking out of the bedroom. Cao Yu. As the door opened, Tang Zi saw this woman from many years ago, who was not even an ex-girlfriend. She was much more mature than before. You're here. Cao Yu lifted her temples, as if deliberately lowering her body slightly to reveal her deep V. I thought to myself, even Bai Jian can't bear to be dressed like this. You, a poor loser, are still not fascinated by me, so you just drink the water prepared for you. Tang Zi smiled slightly and said, you are dressed so coquettishly, wait until I come to punish you. Cao Yu was stunned after hearing this. He didn't expect Tang Zi to be so direct. When he was about to explain, Tang Zi's big hands grabbed his neck, and a feeling of suffocation came to his heart. Let me go. Cao Yu subconsciously slapped Tang Zi's arm, but no weak woman could break away. Tang Zi grabbed Cao Yu's neck and walked into the room, and the door slowly closed. Didn't I do as you wished? Let's get straight to the point. Tang Zi showed a devilish smile and walked directly towards the bedroom. He already felt that there was someone hiding in the bedroom. Can you buy a house here with your income? You want to work as a mistress and want to join forces to deceive me? Are you really treating me like a fool? No, let's have a good chat. Wait. Cao Yu quickly begged for mercy. This was not what she thought at all. It's okay, let's talk while we think about it. You, let me go. Kicking open the bedroom door, Bai Jian was startled in the closet. What happened? When Bai Jian heard Cao Yu's begging for mercy, Bai Jian frowned. This was different from what he thought. Go away, Karasawa, you beast. Tang Zi directly pressed Cao Yu against the wardrobe. Bai Jian, who was hiding inside, could see Cao Yu's face through the gap and gradually became nervous. You stinky loser, I won't let you go. Feeling a strong sense of suffocation, Cao Yu stopped cursing and began to beg for mercy. Don't kill me, I want to. Die, help me. Lao Bai, help me. Cao Yu looked at the frightened Bai Jian in the closet and asked for help. Bai Jian never expected that Tang Zi would be so cruel. This was simply not in line with the character of a food delivery person. Also, what is your name, you stinky woman? You will expose me. Hey, she is your woman after all, why don't you come out and save her? Bai Jian didn't dare to say anything at all, thinking that Tang Zi was cheating. You see, if he doesn't come out to save you, you have to tell his name before the king of hell. With a click, Cao Yu's cervical vertebrae were severed, and the white neck tilted 90 degrees as if there was no support. Seeing Cao Yu's eyes wide open, the terrifying look made Bai Jian tremble. He suddenly covered his chest and fell out of the closet. Tang Zi quickly stepped back to avoid being hit by this fat man. Bai Jian fell to the ground, clutching his chest, as if he was having a heart attack. He subconsciously took out the quick-acting Juxin pill from his trouser pocket, but failed to hold it and rolled it aside. He reached out to get it, but Tang Zi slowly moved it away with his shoe. Why do I feel that you look familiar? Yes, I met you at the year-end meeting. You seem to be the manager of the hotel. Bai Jian grabbed Tang Zi's trousers, his eyes pleading. You're so fat, let's go down and lose weight. You. Bai Jian felt that he was so shrewd that he climbed from nothing to the position of deputy general manager of the hotel, but he fell into the hands of a food delivery man. Tang Zi just watched quietly as Bai Jian lost his breath, and then threw the two bodies on the bed. Remember not to practice devil magic in your next life, or you will die miserably. Soon Tang Zi returned to the house, and Anbai ran over and asked curiously, Master, what punishment did you give her? Crush her neck with your bare hands. Tang Zi pinched Anbai's jade neck and said with a smile, but Anbai was not afraid at all, and even looked like he was enjoying it. Sun Ting said softly, "That's too cheap. If it were me, I would have to torture him severely." "Yeah, torture," Yi Qing agreed. Tang Zi let out a long sigh. Why was he hanging out with some perverts? Who taught them? They were all ruined. In the luxurious box of the imperial palace, a 50-year-old man was sitting on the sofa smoking a cigar, with a gold chain hanging around his neck and a gold ring in his hand. 2 women were lying in front of him to serve him. "You fool, you dare to kill my people." Huo Wannian became angrier as he thought about it. He immediately stood up, picked up the whip on the coffee table and walked aside. An 18-year-old girl hangs here. She was caught by Huo Wannian for escaping. Her body has been beaten to pieces, leaving only a weak breath. Bang bang bang. There were 3 more blood marks on the girl's delicate body again, which was shocking. The 2 classmates kneeling next to her did not dare to speak at all. Playing in the club in the early hours of the morning is what you get for playing. Picking up the phone, Huo Wannian called Examang, "Smelly woman, do you really think the men in your neighborhood can withstand my attack?" At this time, Shimeng, who was sitting at home, saw the call from Huo Wannian. Her eyebrows suddenly frowned, but she had no choice but to answer it. "Hello, Mr. Shi, I just sent people to chat with you, and you just killed them. Isn't it appropriate?" Shimeng was confused. "Mr. Huo, what are you talking about? I don't understand very well." "You idiot, why are you pretending to be with labor and management? If you don't give me an explanation for this matter, you will die." Shimeng immediately became angry, and was accused of murder for no apparent reason. "Huo Wannian, please keep your mouth clean. Don't think that I, Shimeng, are afraid of you. Okay, just wait for your words, and your community will wait to die." After saying this, Huo Wannian hung up the phone. Examang also slapped his cell phone on the table, with an irritated expression on his brows. At this time, a man in his 40s appeared next to him. He was holding a cup of hot water and said with a smile, "Honey, don't be angry, drink some hot water. This gentleman is Zimeng's husband. Belongs to the good wife." However, Examang was able to gain a foothold only with the help of her family. Otherwise, how could a weak woman achieve such an achievement? Examang took the hot water and drank some, and said calmly, "Husband, please drink some too. I'm not thirsty." Simon didn't say anything more, and inserted his slender fingers into his hair. "Are you having trouble with Mr. Huo?" Simon snorted. "Actually, I think it's not a bad thing to cooperate with Mr. Huo. Mr. Huo has water and you have a food warehouse, but water is more scarce." Fu Qi persuaded. In fact, this was not the first time he had been persuaded, but he just didn't listen. Simon suddenly said in a deep voice, "Were his conditions put forward by others? He would give them women on a regular basis, and he also wanted men to be their thugs. When did I, Simon, bow my head to the evil forces? Hey, things are different now. Today you let a few strangers in and distributed supplies. Some people have already expressed their opinions to me." "Who?" Shimeng's eyes turned cold. "Oh, don't worry about who it is. Now that supplies are in short supply, you should stop being kind. By then, everyone below will turn against you." With a bang, Shimeng slammed the table and shouted, "Dare you?" Fu Qi looked at his obsessed wife and shook his head, finally feeling the terrifying compassion. In the private room of the club, Huo Wannian slammed his cell phone on the sofa, grabbed the kneeling girl's hair and vented his anger. 30 seconds later, Huo Wannian felt slightly comfortable, picked up his phone and dialed a number, then his signature smile appeared on his face. "Mr. Qian, I wonder if you have received my gift." The girl's screams rang out on the phone, and Mr. Qian's voice also rang out. "These girls are very good, I like them very much. I still have them here. I'll give them new ones when I get tired of playing with them." Okay, Mr. Huo, you understand me. Hey, Mr. Qian, what happened last time? Qian Zongran paused and said with a smile, "Mr. Huo, it's hard to get guns now. The people on duty at the General Administration would rather destroy all the bullets than hand them over. Didn't you say last time that you could get a gun from the armed police? Haha, there are a lot of dead people at the door of the armed police. They would rather starve to death inside than trade with me, brother. Huo Wanyan cursed in his heart. I sent a few pretty girls there, but I didn't even give them a gun. When I get the gun, I will kill you. Oh, Mr. Qian, I plan to take over Shanhu community. You just need to give me the gun, and I will tie up Shimeng and send it to your bed. How about it? Are you serious? Qian Zongran's tone suddenly became serious. It seems that Shimeng's temptation is still very great. Huo Wanyan secretly cursed the old fritter. Can I defraud you of money? Haha, you don't even dare to measure me. Let's do this. We grabbed a few spray guns from the escort company and will give you 1 and 5 bullets when the time comes. Escort. Huo Wanyan wanted to slap himself, but he didn't expect that these people would let Qian Zongran take the advantage. Mr. Qian, are the 5 bullets missing? What's missing is nothing. Today's guns are just for deterrence. Who would bet on whether there are bullets in your gun? One shot will scare them all. Huo Wanyan himself was made to laugh by adding 5 bullets to a troll in exchange for a beauty like Shimeng. I'll give you a shit, get the gun first. Thank you very much, Mr. Qian. I will send someone to your place later. Bring 2 more beauties here. Grass mud horse. Okay, I'll give you the money and you'll choose the best one. After hanging up the phone, Huo Wanyan yelled loudly to vent his anger. He looked at the woman next to him and found that he couldn't lift his head. He became even more angry and picked up the whip to start lashing out. Suddenly there was a sound of pain. After we take down the Shanhu community, recruit the men there, and then kill Qian Zongran, no matter how many bullets you have, will I have more men? When he thought of this, Huo Wanyan's self-confidence returned. He pulled out a pistol from his waist and put it on the girl's head. Serve me obediently. Don't kill me, I'll do it, I'll do it. Huo Wanyan closed his eyes and enjoyed it, but no one knew that there was no bullet in the gun, and Huo Wanyan had fired it all in the police station. However, with this gun, no one dares to disobey, let alone these women. At 7 o'clock in the evening, Tang Zi took Anbai's little hand to the underground garage. Sun Ting followed enviously. Yi Qingyi looked around and found that the men were all looking towards her. Compared with this look, Yi Qingyi prefers those looks at the gas station. Fear, fear. Wash my car for 10,000 yuan. Suddenly a voice sounded, and a boss wearing sunglasses raised a dozen red banknotes in his hand, while a Rolls-Royce was parked next to it. Boss, I'm coming. I'll come, I'll come. Don't grab it from me. 5 or 6 men rushed over and even started to quarrel. Oh my god, the money is still useful. Anbai was shocked, thinking that the money would be long gone. Yi Qingyi said calmly, they all think it is only temporary. Tang Zi murmured, it's 10,000 yuan to clean the car once. I want to go there. Xiaobai, help me wipe it together. Tangs chuckled and pinched Xiaobai's face. It was tender and smooth. They felt that their skin was much better than before. Could it be that they had absorbed their own essence? Does applying it on the face still have this effect? Brother, do you still have cigarettes? A voice suddenly sounded next to him, and Luo Jun was seen standing aside with a smile. Tangs was stunned and took out his cigarettes, only one was left. Forget it, keep it for yourself. Luo Jun patted Tang Zi on the shoulder and smiled. Tang Zi handed it to Luo Jun. Actually, I rarely smoke, so I'll smoke it for you. Luo Jun couldn't stand it anymore. He divided the cigarette several times before finishing it. Even taking one puff felt like a luxury. Brother, if you have any problems in the future, just come to me. Luo Jun took the cigarette without hesitation. Tang Zi asked curiously, what are you doing? Are you going to prepare a stage in the middle to give a speech? Mr. Shi, this is also to give everyone hope and to ask everyone not to stay at home. Going out for a walk and communicating can soothe your mood. That's it. Tang Zi felt that this was trying to spread the pie. Luo Jun sighed. She is always a good person. I hope this crisis can pass quickly, otherwise everyone will be unable to hold on. Being able to separate a box of water, Tang Zi felt that he was a living bodhisattva who stood tall in the sky. After all, who in his own community had such courage? Who is that pretty girl? Tang Zi looked at a woman who was quite delicate. She was wearing a shirt, tie, black skirt, and black stockings, a very professional suit. Although it is not a high-quality ration, it can also become a low-quality ration. Luo Jun was a little surprised. His girlfriend was right next to him, so he asked other women. But for the sake of a cigarette, Luo Jun introduced her. Her name is Feng Mengmong, and she is Mr. Zai's secretary. Can a secretary live here? Tang Zi secretly thought, the secretary's salary is high. She doesn't live here. That night she reported work at Mr. Zai's house until very late. Then it rained and she never went back. I heard that her neighborhood was in chaos. Tang Zi let out a long "oh," and as more and more people came down one after another, Tang Zi didn't find that kind of top quality. There was only one like Feng Mengmong, let alone a top quality like Mr. Shi. Isn't that right? There are so few beauties in wealthy areas. There's a celebrity school beauty promised. Lian's heart suddenly lost half of her heart. If it weren't for Mr. Shi, she wouldn't want to continue playing. Sun Ting, who was observing from the side, felt relieved. There were not many people that Tang Zi could take notice of. Even if Shi Meng was included, there were only 2 left. At this time, Shi Meng finally walked out of the elevator. She should be so eye-catching. Her voluptuous figure made people unable to take their eyes away. She was a mature woman among mature women, just like a peach. There was a man behind Shi Meng. Tang Zi asked curiously, "Who is that man?" "That's Mr. Zai's husband, please pay me." "Oh, I have a husband." The Sao thieves gather here. Standing on the stage, Simon picked up the loudspeaker. "Every owner, are you all here?" Everyone looked around and counted the number of people. "Mr. Shi, Lao Bai is not here." Examine frowned. "Call him to come down, you have no sense of time at all." However, no one answered the call at all. Tang Zi stood in the crowd and kept smiling. "Go tell him to come down." Good. Not long after, a man ran back with helplessness. "Mr. Shi, don't open the door." This is not a naked challenge to Simon's authority. If the first one fails to come now, there will be a second one next time, and they must be severely punished. "Pry the door open for me. I want to see what this guy does. He doesn't even participate in raising a mistress." Tang Zi chuckled and said, "That fat guy knows all about raising a mistress." "Master, how do you know?" Xiao Bai asked curiously in a low voice. "I won't tell you." Ying Shu Ying, and Bai's coquettish voice was so alluring that Tang Zi even wanted to pull Xiao Bai aside to do it first. If Xiao Bai died now, Tang Zi would probably be sad for 4 days, that's all. Soon several men hurried down. "Mr. Shi, it's bad, Bai Jian is dead." This statement immediately shocked everyone. There was actually a death in a community where no one had died. Who wouldn't be afraid? "Dead? How? Killed?" Shi Meng asked in a deep voice. Several men looked at each other. Talk. Bai Jian and his lover died on the bed. His lover had his neck broken by him. Bai Jian himself seemed to have died suddenly of illness. As soon as these words came out, everyone couldn't help but sigh. The fat man must have killed himself for fun. And Bai finally understood at this time, it turned out to be so. Shi Meng was relieved after hearing this. He thought it was a homicide. This Bai Jian was usually sneaky and had no good intentions. It would be better if he died. Also Mr. Shi, the control room seems to be poisoned and there is no picture. Everyone suddenly became noisy, and conspiracy theories came out. "Don't be impatient." Shi Meng's words made everyone quiet down. Today is exactly 1 month since the disaster began. Over the past month, we have all worked together to overcome the difficulties. Next, we must maintain this state. I believe that it will not be long before this disaster will pass and we can return to our original lives. Tang Zi almost fell asleep as he listened. It turned out that Mr. Shi would convey this idea every night. The deeper the hope now, the more violent the riots will be. "Mr. Shi, how long will it take?" Someone in the crowd suddenly shouted loudly. Everyone's eyes were on Shi Meng. Shi Meng smiled and said, "Everyone, to be honest, I got the news today that rescue will be available as soon as next month." Fu Qi, who was standing nearby, was stunned, he didn't even know. "My wife is lying." However, after hearing this, smiles appeared on everyone's faces again, and some even shouted that there was help, there was help. "I really don't know how she will end up next month," Sun Ting said in a low voice. Yi Qingyi said calmly, "Those who can't wait until next month are just trying to stabilize these people." "Master, there is a beautiful woman in a white short skirt over there." And Bai reminded in a low voice. Tang Zi had noticed it a long time ago and said with a low smile, "Just average, a little worse than you. Master, just make do with it for now. Xiao Bai will find one for you later." Okay, it's really difficult. Yi Qingyi rolled his eyes. Seeing how difficult it was for him to agree, he probably had a plan in mind. Just when everyone was enjoying themselves, the intercom in Luo Jun's hand made a frightening voice, "Brother Luo, there is a garbage truck rushing towards the garage." Luo Jun was stunned, looked back at the entrance not far away, and immediately shouted, "Everyone spread out. Everyone spread out." Everyone looked at the anxious Luo Jun in confusion. At this time, the garbage truck had appeared, and it rushed away the car blocking the road at the door. Everyone was so scared that they ran away in all directions, and some of them were even knocked down by the car and fell to the ground wailing. "Honey, what are you doing standing still? Let's go. How can I leave at this time? If you want to leave, you leave." Shang Mengjiao shouted and threw away Fu Qi's hand and shouted to everyone, "Don't panic, everyone, pick up weapons and resist. Don't run." The rain cloth on the garbage truck was lifted, and 20 young and strong men jumped out with knives. The leading man was holding a half-meter machete. "Mr. Shi, Mr. Huo asked us to say hello to you, kill. He killed someone. Run quickly." The so-called upper-class elites are so frightened that when they encounter local gangsters, 3 or 4 of them fall to the ground in the blink of an eye. Luo Jun shouted angrily, "Brothers, come on." However, the brothers around him were also shocked by the other party and were a little at a loss. Tang Zi gave the 3 women a look, "Don't shoot at this time, go back." The 3 women, who had already had murderous intentions, reluctantly walked up the stairs, but Tang Zi did not leave. "Brother, leave quickly." Luo Jun looked at Tang Zi and warned, then rushed forward with a knife. When several men saw Luo Jun rushing, they also rushed together. While Simon was still anxiously blocking the escaping men, these losers were frightened. "Don't run away, there are only so many of them, there are so many of us." However, Shimeng couldn't stop these elites who were fleeing for their lives. At this time, Shimeng's face turned ugly and he shouted quickly, "Luo Jun, organize people to kill them." "Mr. Seeking death." Luo Jun still had a second chance and slashed the opponent's neck with a knife, causing blood to splash everywhere. Seeing Luo Jun kill someone, the brothers here also boosted their morale. They picked up weapons and rushed forward. However, the fighting method was worrying. Looking at Huo Wanyan's men, they even had their wrists and arms tied. Thick paper, the leader even wore a body armor. "Brother Luo, be careful." PFF'd. Luo Jun's back hurt, and he suddenly felt as if his lower body was out of control, and someone stabbed him in the lower back. Falling to the ground helplessly, Luo Jun tried his best to wave the knife, but he was quickly surrounded by 3 people and hacked to death with knives. Wazi with his ear clamped slowly rolled to the ground, stained with blood. And Tang Zi is now in Heroes Save the Beauty. There are indeed many beauties in rich people's communities. A young man stood in front of Feng Mengmeng with a watermelon knife, showing a greedy smile. Feng Mengmeng had never seen anything like this before. She was so frightened that she kept retreating and leaned against the wall unable to retreat. Looking at the men running for their lives, Feng Mengmeng felt desperate and wanted to leave here. "It's a bit rude to treat a lady like this." Tang Zi's voice sounded next to him. The younger brother was stunned, and immediately looked back. The fist in front of him was getting closer and closer, and he was knocked unconscious by one punch. Of course, this was because Tang Zi had restrained his strength, otherwise he could have punched his head through, and then others would not look at him like a monster. Feng Mengmeng stared blankly at Tang Zi in front of her. "Why are you in a daze? You're still not leaving." Tang Zi patted Feng Mengmeng's head. Feng Mengmeng came back to her senses and immediately ran towards the elevator, but soon turned back and shouted, "Thank you." Tang Zi smiled and replied, "I charge a fee." Feng Mengmeng was stunned for a moment, but ran away immediately. Looking at the battlefield in the middle, those gangsters on the opposite side actually have the upper hand. "Huh, isn't that Luo Jun? Died. I originally thought he was pretty good." Arriving next to Luo Jun, Tang Zi sighed softly, closed his eyes, and murmured, "I will send them to you." At this time, the leading man shouted at Shimeng, "Brothers, arrest that woman. Kill, honey, it's too late if you don't leave." Fu Qi pulled Shimeng in. There were only 4 loyal men in front of Xi Meng, but these 4 seemed a bit small, and there were 17 or 8 more on the other side. Tangs felt that this place was too sad, just like a kindergarten. 20 people scared hundreds of people away. Can you believe this? I used to think that the 8 people at the gas station were a bit silly going to other people's communities to threaten others, but now it seems that I made a mistake. We are all people who are greedy for life and afraid of death. We can only share blessings but not difficulties. Tang sighed softly, and then started the performance. Mr. Even Xi Meng was very pleased. Sir, you are righteous. Mr. However, Xi Meng looked at death as if he were at home. I will not leave, I will fight with you until the death. Tang Zi, is there something wrong with this woman's mind? However, the 4 people next to him were stunned, and one of them suddenly shouted, Mr. Xi, be kind to my parents. After saying that, he rushed out. The other 3 also laughed their last words and rushed out. At this time, Tang Zi finally understood how a leader could make his subordinates die generously. Mr. Xi, help me take care of my girlfriend. Tang Zi also said a word and rushed out. Of course, Tang Zi naturally has to restrain himself, neither too strong nor too weak. With the momentum of dying together, the younger brothers on the opposite side also suddenly became weak, especially the 4 loyal subordinates, who had to hold one of the younger brothers to chop them with several knives in their bodies. Tangs thought while chopping, if all the men here were like this, would they be afraid of them? It's a pity that even Ding Feng and the others are not as good as them. Soon only Tang Zi was left, and there were 8 more on the opposite side. The corpses lying on the ground frightened these young men. After all, Mr. Huo said that they would not resist, but in the end they were still dead. The elder brother who took the lead saw that the younger brother was a little scared, and immediately shouted, Brothers, when we go back, Mr. Huo will give out women, food, and beer. Sure enough, after hearing this, the younger brother's eyes gradually became fierce. Xi Meng stared at the other party. Fuqi was desperate. Honey, let's go, I can't do it anymore. I told you, I won't leave. Fuqi almost burst into tears on the spot. You are still stubborn now. What will happen if you are caught by them? Do you still think that Huo Wanyan won't do anything to you? Don't be so naive. Is Ximeng that stupid? His eyes were focused on Tang Zi. He had been paying attention to Tang Zi just now. Those younger brothers were no match for him at all. Even the blood on his body belonged to them, and there was no injury at all. He is obviously different. Luo Jun is dead now, and other loyal people are also dead. If he is accepted as a bodyguard, he will have more say here. Tang Zi, I will fight with you. Xi Meng actually stepped forward and stood beside Tang Zi. The 2 acting masters were having love on the spot, and the husband next to them was completely messed up. Tang Zi really wanted to open this woman's head to see if there was any shit inside, but Xi Meng wanted to see just how strong Tang Zi was. I have to say that Xi Meng's courage is really extraordinary. If it were any other woman, she would have been so scared that she would have run away. Kill, the leader shouted angrily. It was just one person. After killing Xi Meng, he kidnapped Xi Meng and his mission was completed. Tang Zi could only sigh, and rushed forward with a knife. After a cruel fight, he finally cut down all the opponents to the ground. However, Tang Zi had no injuries at all. He was injured for the sake of acting. This was not Tang Zi's style. Brother, don't kill me. Why don't you follow me to Mr. Huo's place? There are many beauties there. It's up to you, brother. Really, Tang Zi said deliberately. Sure enough, Xi Meng secretly thought something was wrong. Tang Zi, don't be fooled by his sweet words. Brother Tang, don't believe this woman. She has cheated Mr. Huo a lot. That's nonsense. Xi Meng was furious. Brother Tang, I'm not going to lie to you. Mr. Huo has female college students, school beauties, and so on. This woman can't give you anything. Xi Meng cursed secretly for being shameless, actually using a woman to seduce him, and this Tang Zi seemed to be following this trick. Tang Zi, I have some benefits here, kill him. Don't believe me. Before he could finish his words, Tang Zi's head was beheaded directly. His head slowly rolled at Xi Meng's feet. Xi Meng was trembling with fear. Even Fu Qi next to him looked at Tang Zi with fear. The corpses around were all stabbed to death, and the only one who was beheaded was shocking, and it came from the mental torture. Of course I believe you, Mr. Shi. Tang Zi turned around and smiled. Looking at Tang Zi's smile, Shimeng felt a shudder. After letting himself calm down, Shimeng patted Tang Zi on the shoulder. Xiao Tang, I am very optimistic about you. If you follow me in the future, you will be able to achieve anything. Thank you, Mr. Shi. Tang Zi looked very happy. Shimeng thought to himself, it seems that his skill is not proportional to his brain. Fu Qi asked curiously, little brother, where did you learn this skill? I was abandoned at the gate of Shaolin when I was a child, so I learned martial arts from an early age. Fu Qi sighed. Sure enough, none of the delivery boys are ordinary. He thought that his wife had found a treasure this time. However, neither of them noticed that the corners of Tang Zi's mouth were curling deeper and deeper, and the game had just begun. As the invaders were killed, the men who had just escaped came down one after another. When they saw the scene, they vomited everywhere. However, Shimeng started his excellent speech and almost praised Tang Zi as the god of war in the garage. It's true that there was an elevator warrior in ancient times and a garage warrior today. Brothers and sisters, we encounter difficulties and challenges every day. Avoiding will not solve the problem. As long as we have the courage, every step is leading to success. Don't be afraid of failure. Failure is just another way of success. Their deaths make us stronger and take steps bravely. The darkest moment is usually just before dawn. Keep faith and victory will belong to us. It belongs to our hero Karaz. Everyone looked at Tang Zi. This man is too powerful, especially he is still standing next to Mr. Shi, so he is even more powerful than Luo Jun. I heard that the head of the leader was cut off by Tang Zi. What a fierce delivery boy. Mengmong, is he really a food delivery guy? The girl in the white dress asked curiously. Probably, he saved me before. Feng Mengmong said softly, as if she hadn't recovered from the fear yet. Well, Mr. Huo has already started to take action. I'm afraid we won't be safe. Feng Wei was worried. She was a helpless girl. If she had been caught just now, it would be unimaginable. Feng Mengmong sighed and looked at Tang Zi's back, thinking that it would be great if there was such a powerful person to protect her. Feng Wei followed Feng Mengmong's gaze. Maybe she was thinking about this problem in her heart. When encountering such a thing, women would seek shelter from powerful men instead of rich ones. Tang's had gained a reputation and was even rewarded with a lot of snacks. Tang Zi, thank you for your hard work tonight. Let's talk about some things tomorrow. Shimeng showed a gentle smile, feeling that he had figured out Tang Zi. Thank you, Mr. Shi. You should also go to bed early. Seeing how much Tang Zi respected him, Shimeng was very satisfied, nodded and turned to leave. Just as the door closed, Tang Zi stretched himself out and said, I'm really tired. It seems that Mr. Shi hasn't realized his problem yet. Sun Ting snickered. She probably felt that she had gotten a big advantage. Yi Qingyi shook his head helplessly, who would know Tang Zi's true background. On the other side, Simon returned home and poured a glass of red wine. Do you know how dangerous it was just now? If it weren't for Tang Zi, we would all be dead. Zimeng's smile grew wider. If I leave, will Tang Zi be willing to follow me? Now he will only feel that he has found a good boss, and the food and water are enough to make him happy for several days. Honey, think about it carefully. How could Tang's, who is so skilled, run out of the community with 3 such beautiful girls? Maybe he killed everyone in the entire community and just changed to another community. Shimeng couldn't help but smile. Husband, he is very strong, but he is only one person. If there are more people on the other side today, I'm afraid Tang Zi will not be able to do it. It is precisely because of his skill that he can take the girl and run away. Come out. Fu Qi said helplessly. I just asked you to be wary of him. Don't worry. With him here, these owners won't dare to mess around. Shimeng's eyes flashed fiercely, and Tang Zi would kill anyone who dared to rebel against him. At this time, Huo Wanyan was waiting for the replies from his younger brothers, feeling a little anxious. As it got later and later, Huo Wanyan knew that this plan had failed. I still underestimated this stinky woman Shimeng. On the big bed, Shimeng and Fu Qi both fell asleep. Fu Qi reached out to Shimeng at this time. And Ximeng said softly, I'm too tired today. I'll just leave it alone, Fu Qi said with a smile. All Ximeng was thinking about was big things, and he suddenly said displeased ly. I've already told you that I'm tired, but you can't put out the fire when you find it, so I have to do it myself. Fu Chi's face fell and he could only turn around. I'm afraid no one knows that the husband of this investment queen is a fool. The next morning, Karasawa enjoyed a hearty breakfast. At this time there was a knock on the door. Okay, the game is over. After tidying up his clothes, Tangzi went to open the door. The one who opened the door was a girl. Isn't this the Feng Mengmeng he saved yesterday? V-shaped low cut, is it so? Feeling Tangzi's eyes, Feng Mengmeng lowered her head slightly and picked up the dinner plate in her hand. Oh, thank you. Tangzi took it with both hands, but when taking it, he deliberately touched Feng Mengmeng's fingers, which made Feng Mengmeng blush and hurriedly pressed the elevator to leave. After closing the door, Sun Ting said with a smile, "Let me tell you, Master Yushu Linfang, don't take action at all now, the little sister will break her head to show her kindness." Tangs opened the dinner plate with a wry smile. There were 4 fried eggs inside. It must be said that there are still eggs now. It is indeed very arrogant and he spent a lot of money. For me, women who throw themselves into their arms are boring. I still like those who have a strong sense of resistance, just like our little Yi. Yi Qingyi said delicately, "How can I resist? Sister Yi doesn't even admit it now. Xiaobai, your skin is itchy, aren't you?" "Sister Yi, my skin is more than just itchy." Just as Tangs was sitting on the sofa, his cell phone rang. "Are you free now? I have something to discuss with you." "I'm free." It was Shimeng calling. "Well, I'll wait for you." After hanging up the phone, Tangzi stood up and relaxed his muscles. "Master, we agreed not to threaten the scoundrel." Tangzi made an okay gesture, opened the door with a smile, and left. Soon Tangzi arrived at Shimeng's house and rang the doorbell. Ding dong, ding dong. The person who opened the door was Feng Mengmeng. When he saw Tangzi at the door, he even looked away shyly. What Tangzi said before was true. The feeling of throwing yourself into someone's arms is boring. Of course, it's all delivered to your door and you throw it away. If you don't play for free, you won't play. On the sofa, Ximeng looked at his phone in an elegant posture, with a slightly frowning expression. But Simon didn't mean to pose. He just took a call from Huo Wanian in the morning. He wanted to negotiate face-to-face in his club. Of course Ximeng knew that this was a trap, but it was not an opportunity for him. If he could kill Huo Wanian, he would have no worries, and he could even recruit Huo Wanian's people to grow stronger. But under these conditions, it depends on whether Tangzi can do it. "Tangzi is here." Feng Mengmeng stood aside and said respectfully. It was still the job of a secretary, while Shimeng still acted like a big boss, without any change at all. And Tangzi likes this kind of aloof woman, and it will definitely hurt like hell if she falls. "Bring me a glass of water." "Okay." Feng Mengmeng soon poured 2 glasses of water over, which was very luxurious. But here, the curvature of the waist is much wider, and Tangzi can see the white and tender deep V. Shimeng, who was drinking tea, saw it in his eyes. Although his girlfriend looked sweet and lovely, there was no man who didn't steal the charm. There were more stimulations outside than at home. As Feng Mengmeng left, Shimeng looked at Tangzi with a smile, and Tangzi lowered his head shyly. This reminded Shimeng of the freshly graduated college students in the company. Isn't that what they look like? And these people are the best to control. "Tangzi, if you need anything at home, please tell me." "You're welcome." Tangzi nodded fiercely. "There is everything in the house, so you don't have to worry about it." "This is a bit confusing. You are almost my younger brother at your age. From now on, you can just call me Sister Shi." Tangzi twitched the corner of his mouth. "Do you have to make the relationship so complicated? Sister and brother have appeared." "That's so embarrassing," Tangzi said naively. "If you're sorry, please call me now." Tangzi performed that awkward look so vividly that Yi Qingyi was convinced when he saw it. He must have graduated from Chinese opera. "Sister Shi." After holding it in for a long time, she finally shouted out. Shimeng was very satisfied. "Isn't it enough to shout out now? From now on, you will be my biological brother. You don't have to be afraid if you have a sister here." At this time, Fu Qi walked out of the bedroom and said with a smile, "If you recognize your brother, then don't I become a brother-in-law?" "Hello, brother-in-law." Tangzi stood up and shouted. "Ha ha, sit down, Sit down, we will all be a family from now on. Tang Zi hummed, you two are quite good at scheming, but this method is much better than Bai Jian and Cao Yu. You brothers and sisters, let's chat first while I go out for a walk. Fu Qi smiled, took a sip of water and went out. As Fu Qi left, Ximeng shook his head helplessly. Your brother-in-law will go out to brag with other men at this time. I often brag too. Tang Zian smiled and scratched the back of his head. Brother, there is something I want to ask you. It is very important. You must tell the truth. Ximeng said seriously, blinking his beautiful eyes. Well, I won't lie to you, Sister Shi. Tang Zi's sitting posture was like that of his elementary school days, with his hands on his legs. If I were your enemy and I was sitting here, would you be able to kill me directly? Ah, it's so simple. Hearing Tang Zi's answer, Ximeng felt that Tang Zi was bragging. Young people are like this. Brother, you can't talk nonsense. No, really. Then you demonstrate it to me. Sister Shi, you can throw the paper cup as you like. Tang Zi said confidently. Ximeng wanted to see what gourd medicine Tang Zi was selling, so he drank the water in the paper cup and threw it in a random direction. At this time, Tang Zi threw out his right hand, and the paper cup was instantly pierced by the flying knife and fell into 2 pieces, on the ground. Ximeng was so stunned that he didn't even see his movements clearly. In this era of knife attacks, there was such a flying knife that looked like a gun. Awesome, brother. Ximeng even clapped and patted Tang Zi's leg, but Tang Zi was so shy that Ximeng felt like he was going to take advantage of this little brother. Suddenly the conversation changed. Brother, how was that girl just now? Do you like her? Ah, I have a girlfriend. Tang Zi's reaction was so impeccable that even a woman like Ximeng who pays attention to details didn't notice it. Ximeng clicked his tongue. My good brother, no matter how fragrant the domestic flowers are, wildflowers also have a unique flavor. Don't worry, my sister will keep your secrets. Seeing Tang Zi hesitate to speak, Ximeng secretly thought that men are just men after all. Sister, I promise I won't say anything if it's okay. I believe it, it's just. Just what? I don't like that girl. Ximeng was stunned for a moment, then smiled and said, then which one does my brother like? I can help you tell me. Tang Zi looked shy, lowered his head and hesitated, as if he was a little embarrassed. Ximeng was stunned after seeing it. How could he exclude himself? Such a young man would definitely have thoughts when he saw him. This is normal. You can't think randomly, Ximeng said displeased deliberately putting on a serious look. Tang Zi didn't say anything, he just looked disappointed and didn't lower his head to look at Ximeng. This little kid is really difficult to deal with, and all his ideas come to him. Tang Zi suddenly raised his head and looked at Ximeng. Ximeng was stunned for a moment. Is this look so sad? Sister, do you look down on me? Ximeng, I never expected that he would say such a thing. I know that I am an orphan. No one looks down on me. I work at the lowest level. I am not as glamorous as my sister. My sister and I are just 2 different people. It's my own fault. After saying this, Tang Zi stood up and prepared to leave. Even his eyes were red, it was unjust not to give Tang Zi a golden man. Ximeng stared blankly at Tang Zi's back, wondering how such a powerful master could be so inferior. Brother, what are you doing? Sister didn't say she looked down on you. Ximeng quickly stood up and grabbed Tang Zi. Tang Zi is her only weapon now. If Tang Zi is not by her side, those people below will not be at ease, let alone he said that killing Huo Wanyan would disrupt all his plans. Tang Zi looked like a frustrated child, stubborn and aggrieved. Okay, sister is wrong, okay, let's sit down and talk. After half a push, Tang Zi was pushed down on the sofa by Ximeng. Ximeng also had a headache when he saw Tang Zi. How could he come up with such an idea? However, this little brother was only thinking about him, making him angry and funny. Brother, if you help my sister kill that person, she will risk her life. Ximeng just threw a big pie, and most men would nod obediently. However, Tang Zi said seriously, no. Why? Ximeng was surprised, this was too decisive. My previous bosses all said similar things, but they didn't kill people. In the end, none of them fulfilled their promises. What kind of black-hearted bosses are these, teaching a child to be so vigilant? Seeing Tang Zi's appearance, Xi Meng felt helpless and chuckled, "You can make any requests you have." Tang Zi hesitated to speak and glanced again. Xi Meng knew that this was a guy with a lusty heart but no courage, so that was easy to say. "As long as you agree to my sister's request, my sister will not let you suffer when the matter is accomplished." "Ha!" Tang Zi was shocked and wanted to draw a pie for me. I knew my sister still looked down on me. "I know, I'll leave now." As Tang Zi stood up, Xi Meng immediately became anxious. If he didn't give him some benefit, he really wouldn't agree to it. "Stop!" Xi Meng Zhao shouted, and the corners of Tang Zi's mouth curved up, wondering who was controlling whom. Xi Meng came to Tang Zi and looked at Tang Zi fiercely, but Tang Zi turned his head away. This made Xi Meng angry and funny. Chapter 51. As long as we can get rid of Huo Wannian, everything we do will be worth it. After leaving Zimeng's home, Tang Zi stretched his legs and did not leave in a hurry. He walked into the safe passage and opened a window to get some air and smoke a cigarette. After just 2 puffs, I heard footsteps downstairs. When they saw Feng Mengmeng walking up, the two of them looked at each other. The situation was a bit awkward and ambiguous. Feng Mengmeng lifted her temples and looked a little nervous. "Why don't you take the elevator?" Tang Zi spoke first. "I live downstairs. It's too slow to wait for the elevator. Hurry up the stairs." Feng Mengmeng lowered her head and said. Tang Zi said oh and became quiet again. "Thank you for saving me last night." Feng Mengmeng looked at Tang Zi and expressed her gratitude. "Don't worry about small things." Feng Mengmeng bit her red lips slightly, holding the document tighter and tighter, and said in a very low voice, "Did Mr. Shi tell you?" Tang Zi was stunned after hearing this. "Do you all communicate about murders like this? It scares the child." "I told you." "Then you agreed." "Yeah." Feng Mengmeng's face turned red. Mr. Shi had already told her this morning, and she didn't feel disgusted. It was a repayment for saving her life, and maybe she could protect herself in the future. Tang Zi looked at the shy Feng Mengmeng and felt something was wrong. "You are so shy about killing people. You are not a novice." Feng Mengmeng said softly, "Why don't you go to my house?" Tang Zi twitched the corner of his mouth, and now he understood. Xi Meng had said before that he asked her to accompany him, and we were not on the same channel when talking about feelings. But after looking at Feng Mengmeng's conditions, it was indeed quite good, and he even sent it to his door automatically. Okay then. After hearing Tang Zi's agreement, Feng Mengmeng was also very happy. After all, with such a strong backer, she would be safer. After a long time, Tang Zi returned to the room and began to tell his story. The 3 women listened with great interest. Sun Ting even gasped, "This is not better than Yi." Yi Qingyi grabbed Sun Ting's neck, and Sun Ting spit out her tongue, looking like she was about to be strangled to death. And Bai sighed, "I never expected that it wouldn't be our turn to take action yet." Following in Bai's words, Sun Ting and Yi Qingyi laughed mischievously, as they were both experienced. Originally, Yi Qingyi was worried that Xi Meng would not let Tang Zi succeed so easily, but he never expected that Xi Meng would not hesitate to let Tang Zi kill people like this. She is really a shocking woman, and she will do whatever it takes to get power. I thought Xi Meng was a kind person and a living bodhisattva, but it turned out that she just wanted to control the entire building, even the rich bosses, but now her ideas have been moved to another group of people. Yi Qingyi is ashamed of his courage. No wonder other people's businesses are getting bigger and bigger. At this time, Feng Mengmeng came to Xi Meng's door, as if she was bathing in the spring breeze. After entering the room, she handed over tonight's manuscript. "All come tonight." Fu Qi took the manuscript with a smile. Feng Mengmeng looked at Xi Meng in confusion and asked with concern, "Has Mr. Shi caught a cold?" Xi Meng said nothing, with a sullen face and a very unhappy look on his face. Feng Mengmeng was a little worried, maybe it was because of herself. "Mr. Shi, you should pay attention to rest, we can't live without you." Feng Mengmeng said softly, "If there is no Mr. Shi, I am afraid those owners will rebel." Xi Meng hummed, and then raised his hand to let Feng Mengmeng out. Feng Mengmeng looked at Fu Qi, and Fu Qi nodded. As Feng Mengmeng left, Fu Qi comforted him, "Honey, don't worry, I often give this kind of speech in my workplace. I'm going to take a rest first." With a slight hoarse voice, Simon walked towards the bedroom. Fu Qi felt a little strange. Tang Zi had obviously agreed, so why was she still looking irritable? Lying on the bed, Ximeng tossed and turned and couldn't sleep. In the afternoon, Tang Zi, who was idle and bored, decided to go and play with Feng Mengmeng. After all, it was still a new period, which made the cats at home complain incessantly. However, when Tang Zi left, he suddenly felt happy and it was another relaxing day. Let the woman bear it. Arriving at the door, Tang Zi knocked on the door, but the person who opened the door was a strange girl. Isn't this the girl in the white skirt? Ah, is Mengmeng here? Tang Zi asked curiously. Did he go to the wrong door? Yes, I am her friend, my name is Fang Wei. Hello, my name is Tangs. The two shook hands in a friendly manner. At this time, Feng Mengmeng came out of the bedroom and saw that Tang Zi was still a little shy. Of course, Feng Mengmeng knew why Tang Zi was here. They were just friends playing at home. Brother Tang, come in and sit down. Fang Wei saw something wrong with Feng Mengmeng's expression. She was blushing. Tang Zi hummed and walked into the room. Feng Mengmeng poured half a glass of water. Now that he can receive guests with water, it is definitely the most sincere act. Feng Mengmeng was embarrassed to sit next to Tang Zi and sat on the other end of the sofa. Fang Wei sat on the single sofa holding a pillow, and the atmosphere was a little awkward. Tang Zi was helpless. This Xiao Fang is very ignorant. I'm already here. You smart guy shouldn't find an excuse to leave. Are you waiting to watch a show? Are you guys chatting? Tang Zi is not very good at talking to girls, so what's the point of talking to girls if he can? Feng Mengmeng hummed. Well, Wei Wei is homesick. You don't live here? Tang Zi asked doubtfully. Fang Wei sighed. I work in Huan City. My dad was afraid that some communities were unsafe, so he bought me a set here. Then you are the rich second generation. Tang Zi shrugged, but Fang Wei's sitting posture was a bit strange. Didn't she realize that she could see the white lace pants? Or was it intentional? Brother Tang was joking, my dad just has a little money. Fang Wei smiled modestly, and Tang Zi didn't ask deeply what this had to do with him. Feng Mengmeng looked at the light rain falling outside and sighed, I don't know what it is. It would be better if the rain were heavier. At least Mr. Huo and his group would not dare to come. Yeah, if the wind blows again, who will dare to go out? This light rain is really killing people. Fang Wei also looked very melancholy, thinking about how to leave and return home safely all the time. It's been a lot colder these days. I don't have any clothes to keep out the cold. If there's a power outage, I'm afraid I'll freeze to death. Thinking of this, Feng Mengmeng couldn't help but shiver. She was very afraid of a power outage at the next moment. This was definitely a fatal blow. As for when the power outage will occur, no one knows, but it is only a matter of time. Maybe next moment, there will be no mobile phone signal. I'm going to go to the toilet first. I've been getting angry lately. Fang Wei said with a wry smile. Can she eat some snacks every day to satisfy her hunger without getting angry? After Fang Wei left and the toilet door closed, Tang Zi and Feng Mengmeng looked at each other. Feng Mengmeng immediately lowered her head shyly, while Tang Zi pulled her into his arms. After a while, the toilet door opened, Feng Mengmeng immediately sat aside, and Tang Zi acted as if nothing happened. I don't know what's going on in other cities. Are there any that safe? Fang Wei didn't notice anything unusual and sighed repeatedly. I guess there will be, but I can't get out now. Tang Zi looked at Feng Mengmeng's uncomfortable look with amusement. Fang Wei asked tentatively, Brother Tang, you are so powerful, you should be able to escape to a safe city. Tang's just laughed at these tentative words and said nothing. My car is not that easy to get into. Seeing that Tang Zi remained silent, Fang Wei also knew that Tang Zi would not be able to protect her if she didn't pay something. Coupled with last night's revenge, who knows when Mr. Huo's people will come next time. Think about the men who ran away. When they were bragging, they were all as awesome as the Hulk. They actually killed them and ran faster than anyone else. I'm going to the toilet. Feng Mengmeng said with a slight blush. Tang Zi shook his head, why do you guys take turns going to the toilet? Suddenly, Fang Wei sat over from the sofa next to her and sat directly next to Tang Zi, exhaling like a orchid. What are you doing? Tang Zi was stunned. Is this girl so proactive now? She just hugged his hand when she came up. I don't get such treatment when delivering food. I once imagined that the female owner would drag me into the house domineeringly. Brother Tang, can you protect me? Fang Wei looked up at Tang Zi longingly. Tang Zi twitched the corner of his mouth. It turns out this is a deal with me, he quite understands. That's easy to say. As the door opened, Fang Wei hurriedly sat back. Brother Tang, you were so awesome last night. Don't say that, it's all just to survive. I don't know when Mr. Huo's group will come next time. Mr. Shi must have his own way. Feng Mengmeng, who knew the inside story, comforted. As we chatted, it was already past 6 o'clock in the afternoon. Tang Zi was already hungry and planned to go back and have a big meal. Brother Tang, there is a piece of pork in the refrigerator, why don't you stay and have a meal? Feng Mengmeng naturally wanted to please Tang Zi, and was even willing to take out rare things like pork. Sure enough, Fang Wei immediately complained. When Brother Tang comes, you are not willing to eat meat, and you are not willing to give it to me. Isn't it true now, and you still blame me? Feng Mengmeng said angrily, you've had a good meal. Soon, Lao Ganma's fried meat was served on the table, along with hot white rice. It was a luxury to the extreme. However, the meat tasted weird. It must have been frozen for too long, and it lost the characteristics of pork. Fresh. After the meal, Tang Zi whistled and pressed the elevator. He looked at the time and saw that it was almost 7 o'clock. Let's go and watch Sister Zai's speech. It's such a comfortable little life. With Tang Zi's appearance, people around him also expressed their goodwill, and even some women began to ogle, but Tang Zi looked down on those vulgar fans, and the minimum acceptance conditions were at least like Mengmeng and Fang Wei. I'm a picky eater. Feng Mengmeng saw Tang Zi coming and seemed to pass by Tang Zi, but she said softly, come to my house tonight. Tang spread his hands. He didn't know why, but he became particularly popular after the end of the world. Why exactly? However, Tang Zi said it was not interesting for such a woman who took the initiative to betray her. As Fu Qi stood on the stage, Tang Zi paused. Dear owners, Mr. Shi is a little uncomfortable today, so I will say a few words on her behalf. Tang Zi scratched his hair. He had to apologize to Sister Shi, lest he say he was too cruel. Soon Tang Zi came outside Zimeng's house and pressed the doorbell. Ximeng saw Tang Zi at the door through the peephole. He was originally angry and didn't want to open the door, but if he continued to think wildly, wouldn't his efforts today be in vain? Opening the door, Ximeng looked at Tang Zi with a straight face and walked back to the living room with an angry look. Tang Zi walked into the room and said sheepishly, Sister Shi, I just heard that you are not feeling well, so I came here to see you. Shi Meng rolled his eyes. He had never suffered such a loss since he was a child. He always manipulated men into his hands, and Tang Zi was no exception, but the price he paid was too high. Tang Zi sat next to Shi Meng and suddenly held Shi Meng's hand. Shi Meng was stunned, her heartbeat accelerated, and she wanted to pull out but couldn't. My sister will be angry if you keep doing this. Today, you got your wish, Shi Meng said in her eyes, looking at Tang Zi sideways with a pair of beautiful eyes. Tang Zi would not be so cowardly. Actually, I fell in love with you when I saw Sister Shi. After saying that, I felt that instead of delivering food, I should go to Hengdian and try acting. Maybe I could become a star because of my good acting skills. Shi Meng snorted coldly. My sister has heard this kind of talk from you too many times. It's okay to lie to your little girlfriend. How can she have a sister? Do you understand me? Shi Mengfang couldn't help but tremble in her heart. This Tang Zi really knew how to do it. Go out and get some air. Shi Meng stood up and walked out of the house. Tang Zi was stunned and followed with a smile. At the safe passage, Tang Zi leaned on the railing and said with a smile, Sister Shi, why don't you go home yet? The air outside is good. Shi Meng glared at Tang Zi angrily. If it wasn't for the plan, how could he have suffered a loss? This is not my, Shi Meng's style at all. Tang Zi threw the cigarette butt on the ground and stamped it out. Okay, I'll go back first. Sister Shi, please go back quickly. Don't catch a cold. Shi Meng's face darkened, and he just watched Tang Zi go downstairs. This fool, after the matter is over, he will have to find a way to deal with him. After adjusting his mood, Shi Meng returned home. Fu Qi sat on the sofa and watched a movie. When he saw his wife coming back, where have you been? If you have a cold, don't go out. Simon said softly. I haven't gone anywhere, let's take a breather at the top of the stairs. I'm a little hungry, bring me something to eat. Simon said helplessly. He was already hungry. Forget it, just treat it as a dog bite and just kill Huo Wanyan. Tang Zi didn't return to his home until early in the morning. As soon as I entered the door, I saw 3 pairs of pitiful beautiful eyes. Oops, I was so happy that I forgot to prepare meals for them. Telling what happened that night, the 3 women were all shocked. It must be said that this kind of affair was because of the title of the god of war in the garage. If Tang Zi wanted to, those ogling women would be sure of it. Master is so awesome, how long have you been here? Xiaobai acted like a coquettish cat close to Tang's, looking like a kitten. Sun Ting joked. So who will win in the end? Will she always leave? Yi Qingye frowned and was always worried about the bet, fearing that if she lost, no one would be able to save Yuyu. Master, have you thought of a way to make Mr. Shi decide whether to stay or go? Sun Ting asked curiously. Of course I have thought of it, but I will keep it a secret for the time being. You will know when the time comes. Seeing how mysterious Tang Zi was, it completely whetted the appetite of the 3 girls. No matter how much he acted coquettishly, Tang Zi would not say anything. After all, my brother Tang's heart was as hard as a stone, and coquettishness could not melt it away. The next morning, Tang Zi was awakened by Shi Meng's phone call. Sister Shi, have you missed me so early? Tang Zi yawned. He worked overtime again last night and his eyelids are a bit heavy now. These gossipy women are really terrible. I miss you so much, come up here. I know. The yawning Tang Zi came upstairs and rang the doorbell. The person who opened the door was Feng Mengmeng. When he saw Tang Zi, his heart was filled with excitement. It was obvious that Feng Mengmeng liked Tang Zi's hard power. Mr. Shi, I'll leave first. Feng Mengmeng gave Tang Zi a look, and Tang Zi understood instantly. Walking into the room, Shi Meng put down the phone and said in a low voice, I have made an appointment with Mr. Huo about the location. Tang Zi smiled, sat aside and asked, have we made an appointment? Shi Mengdu felt that he was the one who boarded the pirate ship. Hearing this tone, he wanted to take advantage of him. How could such a good thing happen? It was just fine. Originally he wasn't so fast, but he had to speed up and said sternly, Mr. Huo and I have made an appointment tonight at the Xinhua bookstore on Baoyuan Road. I need you to go there in advance to eliminate some hidden dangers. Sister, what perfume are you wearing today? It smells so good. I'm talking to you, do you hear me? Shi Meng was going crazy. He felt that Tang Zi had no intention at all. Is it okay to hand over such an important task to him? Isn't it too unreliable? I heard it. Tang Zi sighed and said, are you that nervous? It's just to deal with a person, not a god. Can you be more serious? This matter is very important to me. Shi Meng said seriously. If he had such an employee in the past, he would have been fired directly. Yeah, Shi Meng is about to burst. This careless look makes people crazy. They feel like they have lost all their blood, but only he can do this. Really confusing. It didn't take long for Fu Qi to come back, and Tang Zi had no choice but to leave. Fu Qi, who came back, immediately asked with an accusing look, what were you talking about just now? What else can we talk about? What's your look like? Do you doubt me? Fu Qi was frightened when he heard Shi Meng's tone improve. That's not what I meant. Seeing this cowardly husband, Shi Meng felt angry. Think about it for yourself. What role have you played in the disaster for so many days, and I am doing things that you men should have done. Tang Zi is now my only bargaining chip. He can do whatever he wants. After that, he walked in. Bedroom, closed the door firmly. Tang Zi, who was bored, could only go to Feng Mengmeng's house to have a cup of tea. Brother Tang. Feng Mengmeng, who was beside him, drew circles on Tang Zi's chest with her fingers. What's wrong? Brother Tang, you have to come back safely. Feng Mengmeng didn't want Tang Zi to die, otherwise her efforts would be in vain. It's just a bunch of losers, don't worry. Hearing what Tang Zi said, Feng Mengmeng only thought that Tang Zi was bragging because she had heard such words too many times. Don't worry, Brother Tang will take you out of here when the time comes. After hearing this, Feng Mengmeng's eyes suddenly lit up. Is there any way Tang Zi can leave? How do you think I got here? It's just that the car didn't come in. After all, I was afraid of being robbed. Tang Zi said with a smile. If Yi Qingyi saw this smile, he would know that Tang Zi had some bad intentions. Feng Mengmeng sat up in excitement, showing off her charming figure. Brother Tang, do you have a car? The tires on today's cars can't even be used. The tires are useless, but my car has tracks. Feng Mengmeng suddenly realized. Tang Zi, you are so awesome. Mengmeng likes you so much. I must take Mengmeng with me when the time comes. From now on, Mengmeng will listen to Brother Tang. If it weren't for the fact that you are so good, I wouldn't tell you this secret. You have to keep it secret for me. Well, I promise not to tell. So good. It was almost 11 o'clock when he left Feng Mengmeng's home. Tang Zi had no intention of going back. After all, he was also a man of his word, so he still had to do something. Taking out his younger brother's cell phone, Tang Zi showed a devilish smile on his lips. Mr. Huo, I don't know if you are like your little brother, but don't make it difficult for me. When I came to the garage, the men around me all respectfully called Brother Tang. Brother Tang, the car is ready. You can rush forward, but the tires will soon lose their hold. A man came over with the car key and warned. I know. After taking the car key, it was still a BMW 5 Series. There was a layer of plastic sheeting on the hood to prevent rain from leaking in, but this car was probably the worst car in the garage. Move the car, Brother Tang is going out. More than a dozen men looked at Tang Zi's relaxed face, as if he was going on a trip, and secretly wondered if he was just faking it. If Mr. Shi and Tang Zi come back safe and sound today, then this Tang Zi will be considered a real strong man and can be regarded as the second in command of the community. It's a pity that Tang's is not interested in the second in command, not even the first in command, but he is still interested in the previous one. Imperial capital. At noon, Huo Wanyan ate with a group of younger brothers. Real rice and stir-fried vegetables, just like usual. Of course, eating so well is only rare. Today, when I go out to do errands, I have to let my brothers have a good meal. There are not many people with me, only 70 or 80. But these 70 or 80 mouths can eat a lot of food, and even Huo Wanyan feels heartbroken. Putting down his chopsticks, Huo Wanyan stood directly on the table. Brothers, let me say a few words. The younger brothers all looked at the boss with ardent admiration in their eyes, especially the shotgun in Huo Wanyan's hand. With this troll, if we don't take down the entire Huan city, then the entire city will belong to our brothers, and we can do whatever we want. The purpose of this operation is only one. If Shimeng is tied up, then we will have more guns. It is only a matter of time before we take over Huan City. The younger brothers were so excited that they had only one idea in their minds: take over Huan City and become the king of Huan City. But according to the clues provided by the informant, a weirdo appeared next to this woman Simon, claiming to be a food delivery person, but he killed our brother Scar and the others. What should we do? Revenge, revenge, revenge. Huo Wanyan was very satisfied with the reaction of his younger brothers. That's right, we are righteous in the world of gangsters, and we pay with blood. Regardless of whether he is delivering food or delivering people's heads, all living beings are equal in front of trolls. After speaking, he raised his hand. With shotguns in their hands, the boys whistled excitedly. After dinner, let's go to the bookstore first. We'll kill everyone except Simon. Before my little brother could cheer. Dong dong dong. Suddenly there was a knock on the door. The men in the hall immediately looked at the door. What do you mean by the doorkeeper outside? What door did you knock on? Here comes the note. Your takeout is here. A familiar voice sounded outside the door. Who else could it be if it wasn't Tang Zi? Tang Zi didn't go to Xinhua bookstore at all. Wouldn't it be better to come directly to Lao Chao to save trouble? As Tang Zi finished his words, the hall seemed extremely quiet. What time of day was it? And there was actually a delivery person. Go and open the door. Huo Wanyan frowned, holding the spray gun tightly with both hands. Who is making a fool of himself? 4 boys came to the door with machetes. Through the glass on the door, they could vaguely see a person standing there, holding something in his hand. The 4 people nodded, and 2 of them opened the double doors. Mr. Huo, don't open the door. The brother at the door has been killed. The walkie-talkie in Huo Wanyan's trouser pocket shouted loudly. It should be the younger brother in charge of monitoring, but he didn't know what he was doing just now, and he found out now. But at this time, the door had been opened, and the 4 boys saw the man in front of them. With a smile on his face, he carried a golden saber on his shoulder, and held 2 human heads in his right hand, with the corpses lying next to him. No, take away for you. Tang Zi smiled and threw the head out, rolling down on the dining table in the middle of the hall, immediately dyeing the delicious meal bright red. Vomit. Several of the boys vomited on the spot, and the clearly visible bones of the throat were neatly cut off. Huo Wanyan's face became extremely solemn, and he looked at the delivery boy not far away. Delivering food. Could it be Simone people? He must be crazy, coming to his own territory alone. Kill him. Huo Wanyan shouted angrily. There is a way to heaven, but if you don't take it, there is no way to hell. You have to break through. Leave your life behind and see what else Simon can rely on. Tang Zi was stunned. Hey, Mr. Huo, I'm here to discuss business with you. Huo Wanyan has never seen someone so shameless, using the heads of his 2 younger brothers to discuss business. Is this how you discuss business? The 4 younger brothers in front of him don't care so much. They must avenge their dead brother and kill him. Maybe Mr. Huo will reward the female college student. Seeing the 4 knives slashing at him, Tang Zi sighed helplessly. I know that it will be difficult for people to do whatever they want, no matter what kind of younger brother they have. A swish sound. The 4 people seemed to be suspended. Their raised arms fell to the ground with machetes, and then 4 heads fell without any warning. The headless corpses spurted blood, and scattered as if to welcome the Blood King. Tang Zi's move immediately shocked everyone. He was not only a little strong, but also a bit pervertedly strong. That horizontal slash just now required so much arm strength. Get out of the way. Huo Wanyan shouted, jumping down with a shotgun and pointing the gun at Tang Zi. However, in order to increase the hit rate, Huo Wanyan moved slightly closer to Tang Zi. Now a bullet is more precious than gold. The younger brothers around saw the boss using the grab and immediately cheered. In front of hot weapons, what is the knife in your hand? It's just a primitive weapon. Are you the food delivery guy next to Shimeng? Huo Wanyan suddenly didn't want to kill Tang Zi just like that. If Tang Zi could be used for him, his strength would be infinitely doubled. Tang Zi hummed, spread his hands and said with a smile, yes, I came here to discuss business with you, but your little brother outside refused to let me go and use the knife on me. I was acting in self-defense. Don't blame me, Mr. Huo. Huo Wanyan's face twitched. He killed my people and you want me not to blame you? Is there such a shameless person? What kind of business do you want to discuss with me? Huo Wanyan asked in a deep voice. Just cooperate with me in a play. It's very simple. What's in it for me? Tang Zi laughed and said, the benefit is your life. Isn't this business a good deal? You're kidding me, waste you. Huo Wanyan was not Simone. He was insulted by a food delivery guy, no matter if he was a master or not, he was shot dead. Looking at Tang Zi rushing towards him, Huo Wanyan shot directly. Boom, Mr. Huo, your marksmanship is worse than that of my cat. Tang Zi held the muzzle of the gun upward and teased him a little. Huo Wanyan looked at Tang Zi in disbelief. He had clearly pulled the trigger just now, but it seemed to be stuck. It was not until the deliveryman held the muzzle of the gun and raised it that the trigger was pulled. Let go, Huo Wanyan shouted angrily in a panic. The boys around him also turned from excitement to nervousness. The gun was actually held by someone else. You are also the boss, can you be smarter? After saying that, he kicked Huo Wanyan in the big belly. Huo Wanyan fell to the ground like cooked shrimp and his hand loosened. Holding the spray gun and loading the bullet, I have to give you a kick before I let go. Why bother, Mr. Huo? When the boys saw the loaded troll, they were so scared that they backed away and did not dare to approach. In this apocalyptic world, the deterrent effect of a gun is really terrifying. Huo Wanyan glanced at the younger brothers around him, his lips trembling with anger. He was afraid of this. What are you afraid of? He is alone. There are still 3 bullets in the gun. Kill him and let the woman choose. From now on, he will be the boss of a district. Tang Zi clicked his tongue, pointed his gun at Huo Wanyan and said in a deep voice, Mr. Huo, it's really hard to negotiate business with you. You make me very unhappy. What are you going to do? Huo Wanyan looked panicked. What do you think? Huo Wanyan shouted hysterically, kill him. Kill him quickly. Boom. All the younger brothers who raised their knives paused. Their boss. Mr. Huo's face was smashed. Boom, boom. Every shot hit Mr. Huo's face. Blood, brain plasma and other substances were everywhere, and the whole head was made into a bloody hole. The younger brothers were all restrained by Tang Zi's cruel methods. It's not that he has never killed anyone before, but the method of killing him was shocking. If anyone has such a small amount of bullets, please lend me a few. Tang Zi pulled the shotgun. It was really disappointing that such a big boss could kill just a few people with such a small amount of bullets. The younger brothers looked at Tang Zi blankly. If I lend you a few bullets, do you think we are idiots? Brothers, he has no bullets. Whoever kills him will be the boss. Someone in the crowd suddenly shouted loudly. This is undoubtedly the most tempting reward. Who among you here doesn't want to be the boss? Looking at the crowd coming again, Tang shook his head helplessly, put his right hand into his trouser pocket, and took out the bullets of the red shotgun. The person at the front was dumbfounded. He actually had shotgun bullets in his trouser pocket. How is this possible? Seeing that Tang Zi was still loading bullets, the younger brother suddenly became red-eyed and decided to see if he could become the boss. He cut off his head before he loaded the bullets. There was a click. Sorry, you're a little slow. Tang Zi looked at his younger brother with a smile. Boom. The younger brother's body was blown 2 meters away by the impact, and a blood hole gradually appeared in his chest. The younger brother at the back heard gunshots and immediately panicked. Who said there were no bullets just now? Didn't this mean that the brothers would die? Kill me, whoever is the boss, hurry up, what are you waiting for? After Tang Zi said this, he blew the head of the nearest boy, and then reloaded with a click. Suddenly another younger brother rushed out from behind, and Tang Zi raised his gun directly. Boom! Another boy fell down, his face was beyond recognition, his eyeballs were exposed. Who dares to step forward? This is simply a pervert. Brothers, come on, we are afraid of what he will do, so we only have a few bullets, there are many of us. At this time, no one dared to go up if he said such a thing. There were several people lying on the ground who wanted to be the boss. Since you won't come, don't blame me for killing. Tang Zi put away his smile and fired directly at the crowd. 4 or 5 people were shot and fell to the ground, wailing continuously. At this time, someone wanted to run, but found that the door could not be opened. They seemed to be locked in the hall. Even the windows could not be opened. They smashed the glass and tried to jump out, but it was still raining outside. Special raincoats still upstairs. Listening to the constant gunfire and wailing from behind, everyone was frightened. The takeaway delivery guy was simply a devil, he was not a human being at all. Killing people is like killing chickens. Brother, don't kill me. I was also held hostage by Mr. Huo. I am a college student. You will be my boss from now on. A young man wearing glasses dropped the knife in his hand and knelt on the ground. Tang Zi grunted, then shot him in the head, causing blood to fly everywhere. Don't think I don't know, you are the loudest. Tang Zi continued to reload and scanned the hall. There were more than 30 people, and there were 7 or 8 bleeding injuries. After loading the ammunition, Tang Zi loaded it with one hand and shouted jokingly, "They are all hidden, don't let me find them." There were about 40 people left hiding in the box, in the toilet, or in the kitchen. Everyone's body was trembling, obviously they were going to chop someone else, how could something like this happen? This must be a dream, this must be a dream. As if he was playing a cat and mouse game, Tang's looked particularly interested. He kicked open the door of the box. There was music playing inside. A woman with disheveled hair was hung next to her, her legs were in an M shape, and her body was full. It's a bloodstain. Tangs walked to the side and found that he was still breathing. He looked about 20 years old, but he was tortured like this. "Beauty, did you see someone come in?" The girl looked at Tang Zi and the gun in Tang Zi's hand, and moved her weak eyes towards the toilet next to her. The corners of Tang Zi's mouth curved, and he kicked the toilet door open. "Brother, please," bang. After walking out of the toilet, Tang Zi smiled at the girl and said, "I'll help you get revenge." After that, he was about to leave. "Brother." Tang Zi turned around in confusion. "What's wrong? Is there anyone else? Can kill me?" Tang Zi looked at the girl's condition. Every minute now was torture for her. It was really evil. She just wanted to play with women. Why did she have to torture her like this? She was perverted. Little sister, this shot hurts me. I'll break your neck. Since he wanted to take action, he still had to seek the girl's opinion. The girl smiled and nodded, not wanting to feel any more pain, and then closed her eyes. Karasawa put the gun next to him and held the girl's head with both hands. With a click, the girl's body went completely limp. Sighing, Tang Zi picked up the gun and moved to the next box. Unexpectedly, in every box, there were girls hanging or tied to the sofa. They were all covered with bruises. Tang Zi wanted to come after seeing them. In a word, they are all beasts. One by one, help the girls get rid of their pain. When he came to the toilet, Tangs was shocked again and felt that his young heart was hurt. The row of lower bodies was exposed outside the toilet door. Tang Zi walked over and took a look. This was probably a public toilet for those young people. Those who were capable would have their own private rooms. Looking inside the toilet, the woman's hands were tied and she couldn't move. She didn't know whether she had fainted or died. If you fall into the hands of this group of people, life will indeed be worse than death. Suddenly, Tang saw a black footprint, and it turned out that there was another one hiding here. He fired directly at the door. Boom! Blood gradually flowed out from the door, and Tang Zi left the toilet with the spray on his shoulder. After reading these things, he felt that he was too pure and honest. When he came to the kitchen, Tangs felt that his kindness was outrageous. There was some meat on the table. I didn't know what it was. It didn't look normal. Oh, there are still people hiding in the cold room. Opening the door of the cold room, there were 7 frozen female corpses hanging upside down. Their originally slender legs were covered with a layer of frost. From the wounds on their bodies, it seemed that they had been abused a lot during their lifetimes. Be a good girl and don't go to entertainment venues early in the morning. Wouldn't it be nice to go home early? Finding that there seemed to be hot breath coming from deep inside, Tangzi didn't say a word and directly closed the door and locked it. The 3 men in the cold room were shivering from the cold. Have they gone? Probably gone. Go out and have a look. The 3 of them sneaked to the door and tried to open it, but they couldn't. This undoubtedly made them extremely frightened. They couldn't care less about being killed or what happened, so they knocked on the door frantically. Tang Zi stood at the door, lit a cigarette, and slowly closed the kitchen door after hearing the knocking sound from behind. Soon the 1st and 2nd floors were cleaned up, killing those who deserved to be killed, and liberating those who deserved relief. When we come to the 3rd floor, this should be the office space. There are quite a few rooms, so you don't have to look for them yourself. General Manager's office. Tang Zi held the door handle, but paused for a moment, and raised the corners of his mouth slightly. Bang! The wooden door was penetrated, and Tang Zi opened the door and went in. Lying on the ground was a bleeding man with a knife, who had shot himself in the head. 4 girls were sitting on the sofa, their faces pale with fear. I wonder where this person came from, and he actually killed the man who managed them. Tang Zi turned to look at the 4 girls. They were all quite young, but unfortunately not pretty enough. They could still be used if they gained experience. Brother, don't kill us. The 4 girls were trembling. Tang Zi asked curiously, why are you here? Are you dressed so well? One of the girls said in panic, we don't know, it seems like they are sending us somewhere. Oh, that's it. If I had known better, I wouldn't have killed him. You guys wait for me here while I go find someone to ask. The 4 frightened girls nodded. After Tangs left, one of the brave girls came to the door and heard the footsteps gradually moving away. He's gone, let's run away. Didn't he ask us to wait here? Said a weak girl. You are stupid. You are still waiting for him to come. Do you want to use the toilet as a toilet? Upon hearing this, the girl's face was full of panic, and she immediately got up and ran with her. Opening the door and seeing Tang Zi with his back turned, the girl waved, run. I saw 4 girls running towards the stairs desperately. Tang Zi looked back and sighed helplessly, why are you running? It's raining outside. Where can you run? Bang 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 bang. The 4 girls fell to the ground, their bodies twitching from time to time, and blood seeping out of their fair skin. You promised to wait for me. I hate dishonesty. After saying this, Tang Zi opened the next door. Brother. Tang Zi was stunned. This man actually knelt directly in the middle, which was a bit different. Tell me, let's see what value you have in living. Tang sat on the mahogany desk, playing with the golden pen and aiming at the kneeling man's head. I'm willing to discuss business with my eldest brother. Tang Zi couldn't help laughing and said, you are the first one who is willing to discuss business with me, and of course you are the last one. The man kneeling on the ground was frightened. He didn't expect that everyone was dead except for himself. Brother, my name is Ning Qingwei. I sell wine in the club, so I know some things that Big Brother wants to know. You are very smart. What happened to those 4 girls in the manager's office just now? Ning Qingwei lowered his head and did not dare to raise it, and immediately replied, those 4 women originally planned to send Mr. Qian in exchange for 4 bullets. Hey, 1 woman and 1 bullet, do you have so many women to replace it? Brother, you also know that we are in the entertainment business, and the most indispensable thing in the venue is women. Mr. Huo recently concentrated all the women detained in the branch into the club to prevent them from being played to death by some younger guys. Tang Zi's eyes suddenly lit up. Take me to have a look. Brother, please come this way. Ning Qingwei led the way, and Tang Zi followed behind. He asked casually, how many women have been imprisoned? Almost 100. There are so many, what can we eat and drink? What they eat is human flesh, and what they drink is urine mixed with a little water. After saying this, she showed a wicked smile, which was as evil as it was. Tang Zi finally understood. It turned out that the human meat in the kitchen was for the imprisoned women to eat. Otherwise, they would have to feed more than 100 mouths every day, but they would be fed like animals. Think about yourself, you still have bones to eat. You can drink water and take a shower, but it's not too good. Xiao Yi is still complaining. She should really be brought to see the environment here. Soon Ning Qingwei took Tang Zi to the secret passage. As soon as the door opened, all the women were imprisoned inside, and there was even a smell. Tang Zi frowned deeply and would not go there to gain experience. Find them. I thought it would be beautiful. The imprisoned women all looked around. Some had dull eyes, some were crazy, and some were shouting for help. You show me this. After being hit on the head by the troll, Ning Qingwei immediately said, brother, they can still change things after washing them. Karasawa directly pulled the trigger. There was a click and a clear trigger sound. Wait a minute, I'll load a bullet. Ning Qingwei was so frightened that he wet his pants and squatted on the ground and kowtowed. Brother, I still know many secrets. Mr. Huo has more than 100 brothers scattered in various places. If you call them back, they will definitely be of use to you. Seeing that Tang Zi was still loading bullets, Ning Qingwei's head was running wildly. Mr. Qian has made a lot of trolls in the escort company. Even Mr. Huo has to send him women regularly. Brother, you are the troll in your hands. It's also money given to Mr. Huo. Also, Mr. Huo has several beautiful women around him. Tangs paused while reloading. How beautiful. Ning Qingwei was secretly delighted and immediately replied, it's more beautiful than these anyway. Mr. Huo couldn't bear to give it to Mr. Qian. He said he wanted to give it away to have fun. Lie to me again, and the tip of this gun will be stuffed into Uranus. You should be able to imagine that scene. Yes, brother, please come over here. There are quite a few secret doors. Ning Qingwei gasped and broke out in cold sweat. In the past, this was a secret room prepared for some bosses and celebrities. Entering the room, Tang Zi saw 3 women sitting on the sofa, wearing bikinis. To be honest, they were not as good looking as Feng Mengmeng, let alone compared with Sun Ting and the others. But this kid didn't lie to himself, he was indeed better than those outside. The 3 women were a little confused when they saw Tang Zi holding the gun, especially the familiar gun. Wasn't it Mr. Huo's? This is the new Big Brother, not called Big Brother yet. Ning Qingwei reminded him quickly. The woman wearing a purple lace bikini understood immediately that Mr. Huo was dead and had replaced her eldest brother. Oh my little lady has met my elder brother. The woman came to Tang Zi's side delicately, she shouted in a cooing voice, and put her hands on Tang Zi's shoulders. Bang! The woman was directly sprayed on the bed by the trolls, and her slightly fat belly was pierced. She couldn't even believe why she was killed. Ning Qingwei was also confused. Isn't this woman bad? Even if she is not good, there is no need to kill her. She can still help the younger brother below. Your croaking sound makes me feel so uncomfortable. Tang Zi gritted his teeth. He had never heard such an uncomfortable croaking sound before. The other two women were so frightened that they knelt on the ground, their delicate bodies trembling. This new eldest brother was even more fierce than Mr. Huo. And you, lie to me again. Ning Qingwei knelt down again with a plop. Brother, this is really top-notch stuff. This is called top-notch. Look at the nose that is made like a ghost. I am disgusted by this snake face. Is this the taste of your Mr. Huo? Boom. Another shot took away one, and Ning Qingwei swallowed hard. The remaining woman couldn't control her emotions, and screamed and ran outside. Boom. The woman's body fell to the concrete floor, and the women detained outside suddenly leaned against the wall in fear. Xiao Ning, I don't think you are of much use anymore, what do you think? Feeling the muzzle of the gun on his head, Ning Qingwei still wanted to struggle. I'm useful. Brother, please wait for me to think about it. There must be news that brother likes. I'll count to 3. 1, 3. Ning Qingwei suddenly shouted. I remember, there is a female star trapped in Huan City. If you speak slower, you won't lose your head. Tang Zi smiled brightly, helped Ning Qingwei up, and handed him a cigarette, but Ning Qingwei didn't dare to take it. Don't give me face. Ning Qingwei immediately took the cigarette, scared out of his mind. Tang Zi lit a cigarette and sat on the sofa. Tell me about the big stars. I just overheard the phone call between Mr. Huo and Mr. Qian. It seems that Mr. Qian asked Mr. Huo to handle this matter. Just tell me where it is. I only know it's in Shuangdong District. Tang smiled helplessly. Do you know how big Shuangdong District is? Brother, celebrities will definitely not live in a bad place. There is only one villa area in Shuangdong District, and it must be in it. Your idea is quite reliable. What female star? Brother, I really don't know this. Tang Zi sighed and stood up, stamping out the cigarette. Big brother, big brother. As if he didn't hear anything, Tang Zi walked outside and opened the iron doors one by one. Brother, don't open it. Ning Qingwei suddenly panicked. When the women saw the iron door open, their eyes immediately locked on Ning Qingwei, as if they wanted to swallow him up. What are you doing standing still? Tang Zi shouted. The women rushed out frantically, ran away from Tang Zi, knocked down the fleeing Ning Qingwei, and bit Ning Qingwei's arm, biting off a piece of meat. Ah, you stinky women. Brother, save me. Beat them to death. Tang Zi ignored it. Ning Qingwei actually knew such a secret place and was probably the person in charge here. He must have abused them frequently. These poor women should also be given a chance to take revenge. Ning Qingwei just watched his body being torn apart by the women. The scene was shocking, and Ning Qingwei watched himself being eaten alive. It's a pity that I originally wanted Mr. Huo to cooperate in a scene and let myself experience the addiction of the male protagonist. Why bother if I have to get into such a scene? Now I can only borrow Mr. Huo's brain, and I have to go to the monitoring room to delete my handsome side. I followed Huo Wanyan's mobile phone, even this Apple mobile phone, which requires scanning my face to unlock it. If I had known better, I wouldn't have smashed it. Forget it, let's go back to work with someone else, lest Mr. Shi say that he lied to her again, and he originally wanted to scare her. What kind of gun is there to talk about business, right? Mr. Huo, I don't know if Mr. Shi still recognizes him. By the way, I'll take some more material back, otherwise no one will believe it. Especially, I have to tell the little meow that the environment you raised is so good, don't be so picky. After Tang's left, the women ran out with blood in their mouths. When they saw the corpse in the hall, they were stunned for a moment, and then yelled crazily, as if they were venting. Several women seemed to be rummaging for someone. When they saw the picture, the familiar face, without any hesitation, was biting and crying at the same time. After venting their anger, several women rushed out of the club with wild laughter. They spread their arms and enjoyed being soaked in the rain. They fell to the ground and twitched within a few seconds, but even if they died, they still wore smiles and relief. Tang saw it in the rearview mirror and said, "Go home early in the next life." At this time, Shimeng was sitting on the sofa, clutching the phone tightly in his hand. He had not received a reply from Tang Zi for a long time, and he gradually became anxious. Fu Qi on the side brought a glass of milk and looked at his charming wife on the sofa and the coffee table. The scene in the morning suddenly came to mind. That Tang Zi should have died outside. He actually want his own wife. Suppressing his anger, Fuqi forced out a smile. Honey, I made some milk for you. It has to be said that after being slightly developed by Tang Zi, Ximeng is even more beautiful and charming at this time. After all, no matter how good a woman is, she still needs a man to cultivate her, otherwise the land will be desolate. Looking at the milk in her husband's hand, Simon frowned. It makes me sick just looking at it. Drink it yourself. Fuqi was stunned for a moment, looked at the milk in the cup, and his face suddenly twitched. Ximeng didn't notice her husband's face at all. He was focused on the plan. He had paid so much and was just waiting for this day. But he didn't dare to call Tang Zi at this time. Maybe Tang Zi was hiding somewhere in the bookstore. If he made a call, he might be exposed. I looked at the time, it was already 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Go call some people, it's time to set off. The anxious Simon couldn't wait any longer. If something happened to Tang Zi, Huo Wanyan would call and taunt him. Honey, isn't it a little early? Go to safety early to avoid being fooled. After saying this, Ximeng got up and went back to the room to tidy up her appearance. When Ximeng walked out, Fuqi was even more angry. His beautiful wife, who is as beautiful as a flower, is actually. I have rarely played with those legs. Why should I, a sanctimonious gentleman like myself, pretend to be so fake? Wearing high heels, Ximeng looked at Fuqi who was motionless and said displeased "Ly, what are you doing standing there, let's go." Okay, Ximeng hates that iron cannot become steel. If you had some ability, could I be played by Tang Zi like that? But then again, when I saw my husband coming back, it was an unprecedented feeling. Shaking his head, what time has it been? I'm still thinking about this. Tang Zi really got carried away. I'd better kill Huo Wanyan this time, otherwise, hee. In the parking lot, more than a dozen men were preparing their kitchen knives and saying goodbye to their families. Who knew if they would come back alive after going out this time? In the corner, several bosses were also chatting in low voices. Mr. Chen, if Ximeng doesn't come back this time, it seems that you will have to come out and take charge of the overall situation. Don't worry, Mr. Liang. I'm 100 times better than Ximeng as the host. What's wrong with cooperating with Huo Wanyan? This Ximeng is just too greedy for the little power he has and doesn't want to rely on others. Isn't it? We can't play with her at the risk of our lives. At this time, Ximeng had already walked out of the elevator, and these people naturally shut up. After all, Ximeng was still the boss. Just looking at Ximeng's enchanting body, especially today when she was wearing a white dress, the towering mountain peaks seemed to burst out of her clothes, and her long jade legs stimulated the physical limits of the men around her. If Huo Wanyan caught her, the consequences would be disastrous. Honey, these are the people. Fuqi looked at the men who were ready and said. Simon frowned and looked at them. These men had no momentum at all. They were dejected and felt as if they were going to die. I'm not afraid of a woman, so what are you afraid of? Ximeng suddenly shouted. Although Tang Zi is bad, at least he has never been afraid. One of the fat guys said tremblingly, Mr. Shi, it's useless for us to go there with just a few people. Why don't we cooperate with Mr. Huo? Stop fighting. It's not good for our community. Yes, Mr. Shi, cooperation is a win-win situation. We will all listen to you when the time comes. Why take this risk? Everyone only has one life. Perhaps Tang Zi is already dead now. If we go there, we will be dead. Mr. Shi, we are not afraid, but we don't want to die in vain. Fuqi felt that what they said was reasonable, but at this time he would not agree, which would be a slap in the face of his wife. Although I really want to slap her in the face. Ximeng really didn't expect that the people he raised had no courage or blood, especially after the death of those who followed Luo Jun. There was no one who could take on the responsibility. Disappointment emerged in Simon's mind, and he even began to doubt himself. What was the use of them? What he wanted was a man who could kill. Mr. Shi, Brother Tang's car is back. Suddenly an excited voice sounded on the intercom. This news undoubtedly dispelled the disappointment in Ximeng's mind. Tang Zi is actually alive. No, why is he coming back? Shouldn't he be asked to wait? Why does this Tang's always disobey his orders? Before the car at the door had time to move, a BMW 5 Series rushed in, hit it, and white smoke came out of the hood. Go and bring them out. Ximeng hurriedly shouted. Although he didn't know why he came back, Tang Zi was the only ruthless character around him who could beat him. Fu Qi looked at his wife in such a panic and felt sorry for the pretty girl in front of him. You might have been stunned by him. Under the guise of needing Karasawa, you can satisfy the emptiness you have felt in your heart for many years. Before anyone could pass by, Tang Zi kicked the door open and grabbed the bloody head of the co-pilot and the spray gun. When they saw Tang Zi showing up with a human head and a troll in his hands, the men who were originally rescuing people were so frightened that he took 2 steps back. He actually got a gun outside. How can this be? Who is that head? Fu Qi became even more desperate when he saw the troll in Tang Zi's hands. This pretty boy was getting stronger and stronger, and he even felt that his wife was no match for him at all and was being manipulated by him. At this time, everyone in the parking lot looked nervous, surprised, and scared. No one had a smile on their face, not even Examang. Mr. Shi, I have completed my mission. Tang Zi smiled and threw Huo Wanyan's head at Shimeng's feet. Looking at the beaten face, Examang resisted vomiting. Who is this? Didn't you ask me to kill Huo Wanyan? This is him. Tang Zi shrugged. How do you want to repay me for giving you such a great gift? As soon as these words came out, everyone looked at the falling head in disbelief. Is that person Huo Wanyan? Huo Wanyan was beheaded by Tang Zi. Isn't it said that Huo Wanyan has hundreds of brothers around him? How did Tang Zi do it? How is this possible? Examang was not happy in his heart, because what he wanted was not only Huo Wanyan's head, but also Huo Wanyan's group of desperate brothers. Killing Huo Wanyan was just to shock him, so that he could conquer those younger brothers. But now he actually killed him directly and brought his head back. Simon almost vomited blood in anger, but it seemed that his order was indeed like this, and he almost cried in anger. All his elaborate plans were ruined. How do you prove that this is Huo Wanyan? Fu Qi immediately asked. Who knows if it is true? What if you killed someone randomly from outside, chopped off the head and said it was Huo Wanyan? Tang Zi looked at Fu Qi with a smile, but Fu Qi's eyes trembled. What do you mean by that smile? Mr. Shi, you can give me a call. Shimeng actually didn't believe it. Since her husband said so, she took out her mobile phone and called Huo Wanyan. Ring ring ring. A clear ringtone rang from Tang Zi's trouser pocket, and Tang Zi took out his mobile phone, with 2 words displayed on it. Stinky. Shimeng's mouth twitched. He didn't expect Huo Wanyan to make such a note to himself. But he really did it. Huo Wanyan died like this. Looking at the heads at his feet, Shimeng felt unreal. His strongest opponent was already dead. He slowly raised his feet and stepped on Huo Wanyan's head with high heels. Dear owners, Huo Wanyan is dead. We are safe. Woohoo! Everyone cheered immediately, and the owners upstairs came down one after another after receiving the news. When they learned that the scourge Huo Wanyan had been eliminated, everyone was finally relieved at that moment. Feng Mengmeng and Fang Wei also hurried down and were overjoyed to see that Tang Zi was fine and had done such a big thing. I feel that with my relationship with Tang Zi, at least I am very safe here, and I wish I could take Tang Zi home now and take good care of him. But some bosses discovered a problem. Huo Wanyan was dead, and new troubles seemed to be arising. Even Tang Zi, the troll, can directly threaten their lives. Brother Tang, Mr. Shi said it's best for her to keep this gun safe. A man walked over cautiously and said with a smile. Many people looked over to see if Tang Zi would hand over the gun. And Examang is testing Tang Zi personally. It would be better if he can hand it over. If he doesn't hand it over, it means that Tang Zi is not stupid and even has intentions. Tang Zi ignored the man in front of him, he was just a messenger, and walked directly towards Shimeng. When Shimeng looked at Tang Zi approaching, he felt nervous. He was actually afraid of being shot to death by Tang Zi. Then he immediately rejected the idea and held him with his body. Mr. Shi, he said you wanted to steal my gun, I don't believe him. Examang, is this really stupid or just pretending to be stupid? Fu Qi on the side was very sure that Tang Zi had a purpose since he came here, maybe he wanted to control the entire community. How could it be? These are weapons you collected outside and are under your personal control. Shimeng showed a gentle smile, but he was already wary of Tang Zi, feeling that Tang Zi was an unstable bomb. Let's just say, Mr. Shi is really nice. Ximeng smiled slightly. Fu Qi just watched the two of them flirting with each other. If he had the spray gun in his hand, he would just start spraying. Dear owners, starting from today, our community will also have its own gun. Yeah, long live Mr. Shi, long live Brother Tang. Ximeng was very unhappy after hearing this. Tang Zi had only been here a few days and he was already on an equal footing with him. It's impossible. Tang Zi is just a man under his control, and he will bite whoever he asks. From today on, Tang Zi is the director of the Community Security Department and also my personal bodyguard. As soon as he said this, he was obviously telling everyone that no matter how strong Tang Zi was, he was still my bodyguard. So everyone turned to Tang Zi. Tang Zi smiled and shouted, I am willing to serve Mr. Shi. Everyone never expected that Tang Zi, who had a gun, would be willing to be under President Shi. Didn't he want to do something else? Several bosses seemed to have begun to discuss and use Tang Zi to oust Ximeng. This community with many bosses was full of calculations, unlike ordinary communities where they would kill directly. Listening to Ximeng's tirade, Tang Zi hugged Fu Zi and said to Fu Qi beside him, Brother-in-law, why don't you go out and play cards tonight? I want to be alone with my sister. Fu Qi almost had a heart attack from anger, but looking at the dark muzzle of the gun, he couldn't utter a single word. Brother-in-law, if you don't say anything, I will take it as your acquiescence. Brother-in-law, you are such a good person. My sister is so lucky to have a husband like you. It's so heart-wrenching to kill someone. Looking at Fu Qi, his face turned green. Don't worry, brother-in-law. My sister and I have no relationship. It's purely a supply and demand relationship. We can also exchange our experiences. Fu Qi's eyes widened, his whole body began to tremble, and his teeth grinded loudly. It was so shameless. What a bully. He even shared his wife's thoughts. Fu Qi was so angry that he fainted on the spot. Tang Zi suddenly exclaimed, Mr. Fu, come here quickly, Mr. Fu has fainted. Ximeng quickly walked off the stage and looked at Tang Zi. Just now on the stage, he saw what Tang Zi was talking to his husband. Now he fainted. Maybe he was talking about. Tang Zi showed an expression of, I am wronged. But what can Simon do? Now he needs to rely more on the deterrent power brought by Tang Zi, but this is not a long-term solution. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.